Hey there, assholes. Welcome to the Deadpool review. Patreon.com/Genesis of Androzani if you'd like to contribute to the channel and allow me to purchase lots of cocaine. Twitter.com/Androzani if you'd like to hit up my DMs. And then what else is there? No, there's nothing else, is there? I don't think there is. I can't remember.
No.
Do we have a tout?
Not sure.
Nah.
That's
Okay,
not
well.
for me to decide.
Oh, yeah, I don't think we do. Yeah. Oh, Anthony Unavailable. What a fucking prick. Didn't want to watch it because he has to sleep because we're going to Australia tomorrow. But for some reason he thought, oh, no, I got to sleep because I don't want to watch Deadpool because I got to sleep for the plane. But I'm not going to sleep because why the fuck would I want to sleep before a plane? I'll just sleep on the plane. That'll be good.
Yeah.
We are joined only by Callum, a.k.a. the Sandpaper Dildo himself.
Aye.
But yes, I am here with my dressing gown because I am, I've packed all my clothes in my bags. This is all I've got left. So you're just going to have to deal with this here for the whole review and hopefully enjoy it. So, we are reviewing Deadpool from 2015 or 2016? 2016. 2016.
Yeah.
February 2016. Yeah, I just saw it. Right, you go first. 2-minute initial thoughts on the film Deadpool.
Right, this was originally the first ever X-Men film I ever had watched before, because before this point I had never watched any other X-Men film. So I liked it when I first watched it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. And going into it, I think I was a little worried that I would have found it quite boring and a bit meh. But after rewatching it last night for me, I had an absolute blast watching it. This film is so goddamn funny. It's simple, but it is just so hilarious. It's balls to the walls. It's no restrictions on it, and it knows what it is and it knows what it wants to be, and I think it excels at that. Ryan Reynolds does a fantastic job as Deadpool, the real proper Deadpool this time.
Not Weapon 11 from fucking Origins, that trash.
Yeah. It was the actual Wade Wilson, properly done, expertly done, and it's such a fun film.
Done.
Expertly done. It's just an incredibly fun film and very heartfelt as well, surprisingly as well. I think this film has a lot of heart in it for a superhero like X-rated movie, I think. So yeah, very, very happy that I enjoyed it just as much as I did the first time.
All right, I just got finished watching this film for the first time just about 5 minutes ago. But having said that, I did see a very brief clip when I was at Quiz 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, you mentioned it.
And it was the quiz where, sorry, it was the scene where, it's when her hair's just gotten long, and I think it's like the scene where he's like, oh, what's in between Thanksgiving and Christmas? It was that scene. So when I got to that scene in the film, I was like, oh, that's the bit from Quiz. But apart from that, never seen this film before. First time tonight. And what do I think of it? First time watching it is good. It's a good film. So, when I was watching it, I was thinking over to myself about what's my sort of opening thoughts going to be. Sort of what's the best way I can describe my thoughts on this film. And the only way that I feel like I can really describe this, my thoughts on this film, based on a way that the audience who've been watching our videos will understand, is fuck Thor Ragnarok. This is the best comedy superhero film by a million miles. Absolutely brilliant. It's fucking, the fact that it's adult but not like cringy like Torchwood is, it's actually very, very good. It does everything right. The characters are great. The story obviously is very simple, but because it's self-aware, it makes it so much better. This is so different to any other superhero film I've ever watched in my fucking life, and it was brilliant. absolute top marks for this. I think, this is the best film for me personally. I would, maybe you might disagree. This is the most fun I've had watching a superhero film on this channel since Spider-Man 2.
No, yeah, I would say since that review, I would say this is the most fun superhero film. I would say most surprising, I would say, was Days of Future Past, because I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I think in terms of which is like better, I would say this is the best X-Men film so far. In terms of, there's not many problems with it. It's funny, it's entertaining, it's a heartfelt story as well, while basic and not, but. And even then, that's the thing that's better, because Days of Future Past can be, while it's not as complicated as I thought it was going to be, it's still time travel. So this is just very much a simple story with a very charismatic lead and a very funny overall film, really.
Yes, absolutely. It's top-notch stuff. And I was going into, because obviously in the past I've had situations where I've had films hyped up for me because they have a certain reputation. I had that with I had I'm trying to think, what's the first one?
Ragnarok and Guardians 2, maybe.
Yeah, those definitely were two of the examples. I had Age of Ultron hyped down. Like, people said it was absolute dog shit, and I actually really liked it. I was told that I'm blanking right here. I'm absolutely blanking.
I think those are the two prime ones. I was
told that Doctor Strange was like really interesting, but it really wasn't. It was okay.
It's fun to look at, I would say.
Yeah, but I thought it was going to be so much weirder than what it was. And then I thought that with Black Panther, I was either going to love it or hate it, because it's quite a polarizing film. But I was just like, yeah, it's good. I didn't really have much to say about it. I didn't have any strong feelings, so I was very surprised by that. And then I thought that Infinity War on rewatch was going to disappoint me, but it was actually way better with context. And then I thought Endgame was going to be like Hellbent, but it wasn't. It was brilliant. So yeah, and then beyond that, you've got like, I thought Into the Spider-Verse wasn't going to work, but it fucking did really well.
It kicked out of the park, I would say.
Yeah. And I thought X-Men 2 was going to be great on rewatch, but no, it wasn't. And then, like there's been a lot of surprises. So, stuff that's been unpredictable. And also, Days of Future Past, even, last week, I thought that was going to be terrible, like, based on what I heard, but I really liked it. So, what I'm trying to say is that there was so much hype around watching Deadpool, because for years and years and years, all I'd heard about is how much people loved this film, and I was scared that it was going to be like another Ragnarok situation where I just wasn't going to click with it like everyone else did. But definitely, I can say that I definitely love this film for its comedy and its all the elements that make this film popular. I click with absolutely, and yeah, I'm on board. I'm glad that I enjoyed it.
Yeah. The thing is, when I'm like thinking about it, I think the difference is between the comedy style of Ragnarok and Deadpool is that, like you mentioned when we did Ragnarok, it is like cultural comedy, like New Zealand comedy, and that's something you're very used to. With Deadpool, I would say it's just comedy, like all sorts of kind of stuff.
No,
like
I would disagree.
Okay.
The reason why this comedy works better is because it's satirical and self-aware.
I'm not saying that it works, but I'm saying like there's a very clear style, I would say, between the two comedy styles between those two films.
Well, the thing is with Ragnarok is I've come to realize recently that the fact that it's New Zealand comedy isn't even necessarily why I dislike it. It's the fact that it's New Zealand comedy but isn't done with any of the same clever, sort of satirical referencing that any other New Zealand comedy that I've seen does, like Boy, like What We Do in the Shadows, like Brotown, like there's a whole bunch of them. Oh, anything with Billy T. James, all of that stuff is funny to me because it's taking the piss out of New Zealanders. The problem with Ragnarok is it's using New Zealand comedy, but it's not doing it in that way, and that to me falls flat because I don't find some random large Polynesian rock man making a scissors joke funny. It's just there's nothing to it that I enjoy. It's just like, well, it's just a bit late. But Deadpool is funny because it basically what it does, it has the most basic fucking plot structure ever, but because the character himself turns to the screen and says, "This is when this shit happens." That's what makes it so funny. He's taking the piss out of superhero films. I love that. It's such a clever, like, it's an intentional fourth wall break, but it's done within a story, and that's I love it. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, for me, like, I'm like a proper sucker for like fourth wall breaks comedy. I just like in any instance, I just like that kind of stuff, and that's just like for me personally.
Yeah.
And I think in Deadpool, though, I think it's very nicely done, I would say. And I think Ryan Reynolds does a great job at, like, not making it feel so jarring for, I think, casual audiences.
Yeah. Yeah. I was worried because I knew that this was a full breaking character. And I was worried that that was going to, like, upset the story, but it doesn't. It actually improves it. It makes it part of the story.
It uses it at the right times, I would say.
Yeah. It's very well balanced. And yeah, we'll get onto all the different. I'm sure this one's going to have a lot of great trivia because there's so many references in it. But yeah, we'll start off with the character of Wade Wilson, aka Deadpool. So I feel like just speaking on like this more sort of what Deadpool's known for, not the more, because obviously there's a lot of story that goes into it that makes him a very layered character, but going based off his sort of superhero personality, as it is, like the one that he uses when he's making his movies. It's like if CM Punk was a superhero but was unfiltered. That's how I feel about Deadpool, and that's probably why I love him. Because he's just literally like he's got such an like a douchebag demeanor, but it's not like irritating. It's actually very endearing, and it's because he's just so blunt and honest. I love it so much. Like, and I'm glad that this kind of personality is popular. Like the Deadpool personality has been a hit, because like in an alternate universe where I don't know what the reception of this film is, I could see this being like one of those things that you have to be of a certain like sense of humor to understand it. But the fact that this became popular, I like a lot, because I think this is brilliant and something so different to what you get in any other film.
Yeah, definitely. I think, what I like about Wade Wilson / Deadpool the most is, like, in a sense, he's almost relatable. I would say, like, he's obviously a very different kind of person to, I say, the regular person, but he is still very relatable. Like, when he turns into Deadpool, or when he, like, his whole skin is, like, in a sense dissolved basically because of what they did to him, and the fact that he feels like he can't ever approach his now, like, ex in a sense, but even though they never officially broke up, but, like, you understand why he feels that anxiety. Basically, you understand why he feels that he can't approach her. It's just like that endearment of, like, relatability that is, like, you can connect with him. I think that's what I like about this film a lot, is that while there's a lot of, like, references, there's a lot of fourth wall breaks, there's a lot of silly comedy which work really well, it still at its core wants to be a relatable story, and it wants to be like have relatable characters. I think that's one of the biggest strengths I think this film has when connecting with an audience. While it's funny, if you don't have that link and get that connection with the characters, it just comes like, oh, that was just a funny movie, but I thought the characters were lame. That
was excellently executed, because the relatability to them makes the jokes funnier because you're actually alongside it. I think there's multiple variants to that relatability because not only how you shown his actual grief, like under all the comedy, you've got the obviously he has thyroid cancer. He's fearful that, obviously it's actually even referenced in the movie. He always talks about Ryan Reynolds like as if he's someone else. It's fucking so funny when he says it's like Ryan Reynolds didn't get into this business for his good acting. It's like he did it for his looks. I love that because it's like you've picked, Hollywood's most famous, well, not famous, most attractive man at the time, like voted in magazines. You even have the bloody magazine in it. And what I like about it is it's because he's lost his like good looks. He's actually fearful to even see his girlfriend again, which has drastic consequences. But also, not only is he relatable in that sense, and like the traditional, oh, you understand where he's coming from sense, the fact that he has this anxiety and he's, obviously fearing his cancer, and like obviously you relate to him and his pain and like the physical pain, torture he goes through, and that base he goes to. But also the fact that the jokes, the reason why I think they work so much, especially for, I think, our age group, I would say, probably predominantly, is because what I love about Deadpool's sense of humor is that he says what we're thinking. That's the best part about him, is he doesn't hold back. There's no filter on the humor like there is in other family superhero films. It's not staged. It's very much what, like, the people that are writing this film or writing the comics or whatever, they're basically thinking to themselves, what would some smart idiot nerd think in this scene, and what would he want? Like, what's going through his head? Like, what kind of smart remark would they make? Or if they were sitting around, like, in their lounge, like, what funny joke would they say, like, when they see the movie, like, ha ha, that, And what they do is they have Deadpool actually say it before it comes to your head. Like, you're halfway through thinking through a scene, and he says it before. It's almost like he steals your words, and that's a kind of sense of humor that I feel like I've really not even seen before. It's very creative, and I love it. And the fact that sense of humor and within his personality is combined with his relatability of his pain and anxiety into one character is genius. And that's, I think, the core of why Deadpool works so well.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I just think that. I think also, like, Ryan Reynolds, like we mentioned a little bit.
Oh, he's so good.
Perfect casting. He completely understands the character. He completely understands the sort of mannerisms that he has. Whether he's like Wade Wilson or Deadpool or the same at the same time, it's like he completely understands what makes this character work, the comedic timing he has, the dialogue and lines that he has. They're all so well done.
Yeah,
like it's probably one of the best written characters in a superhero film. Just in general, I think he's so nicely written. Nothing feels jarring. Nothing feels like it's from a page of a script. It feels like natural dialogue, which is so hard to pull off. But when it pulls off
contrast,
like this,
contrast to something like Spider-Man: Far From Home, where it's all forced. And while some of it is funny, it's nowhere near as just like Spider-Man: Far From Home was funny, right? In some parts, and it did have a sense of humor, but it didn't make me absolutely burst out laughing like Deadpool did. Deadpool is on another level. It's very funny.
Yeah, it's like I think about like all those like forced dialogue in all the other films. It just feels like it's telling you how to feel. With this film, it's like some lines. For example, like when Wade finds out he has cancer, and the line he has about memorizing his girlfriend's face, I think is such a great line. Like, that's the sort of just little moments like that, how you can show how well crafted the dialogue is.
Absolutely. I think this is really a testament to Ryan Reynolds, because I feel like before Deadpool, he was in a lot of bad films. like Green Lantern, X-Men Origins, and like he was used as like a fucking rom-com star because of obviously his looks, which just does not at all display his potential. Because as soon as he became Deadpool, it's like, Jesus Christ, this guy can act, like properly act. He's very good. I have probably like honestly, I have absolutely no criticisms with his performance. Like he's kind of perfect.
Oh no, he nails it on the head. He nails it on the head.
He's great in every single scene.
Like he has a great scene with every single character he interacts with in this film.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's Francesca, whether it's Francis, whether it's Colossus, whether it's Megasonic, whether it's T.J. Miller's character, whether it's the blind woman, they're all fantastic scenes with anybody with Ryan Reynolds. It's unbelievable how well he works with everybody in this film.
Yeah, and this is a bloody X-Men film, and it's so good.
Yeah, it's made by the same goddamn studio that made X-Men Origins, Wolverine, and X-Men 3, and fucking all the other crap films we've watched so far in this franchise.
And the crap wants to come.
Yeah, exactly. There's still like
Dark Phoenix.
Imagine this. Dark Phoenix and Apocalypse, I would say, are the last two really terrible films we have left to watch in terms of what reception I know that they got.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, obviously, we've got Deadpool 2, which obviously I'm going to be looking forward to after seeing this one. And then Logan, which, if Logan disappoints me, I will murder a child. Like that, like, I'll be very annoyed if it disappoints me.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it won't, because it's got Hugh Jackman in it, and it's, But we'll get to that when we get to that. But yes, Jesus Christ. Ryan Reynolds, man, 10 out of 10. Everything he was in this film was brilliant.
Yeah.
Love him.
Every line he had was great, and every joke he had was great. One of my favorite jokes is like the fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break. That's like 16 walls.
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
Fucking. You know what's such a shame, though? Is now we're never going to get Deadpool and Iron Man on screen together. Because imagine that. That would be so funny, like a crossover with Robert Downey Jr. and Ryan Reynolds. But that's okay. It's okay. I can live without it. But it's a kind of fantasy thing that was going through my head. I'm like, what if there was a film with those two characters in it? But dreams can be dreams.
Also, one of my other favorite lines.
Finish audios. Get on that.
Big Finish Marvel audios. One of my favorite other moments is I think it's quite early on in the film, but when he punches Colossus twice and then kicks him in the head, and all his limbs are limp and broken.
When he cuts his hand off his leg. Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. It's all disgusting stuff, but very realistic stuff.
Rotten. And then the fact that he lands in a garbage bin and there's fucking rubbish in it that's touching his open wounds. It's just so rotten.
And then when it slowly regrows as like a baby hand, it's pretty gross.
The fact that he's like, you need to get out because I need to see if this hand makes it bigger. Oh dear. I feel like this is the kind of humor that Torchwood should have had. But the problem is that Torchwood was just it was so bland with its restricted adultness.
Yeah.
It just all of the adult parts just fucking fell flat. Or at least in the first season they did. But yeah. Yeah, I just the fact that I love the fact that this character Deadpool really brought something completely different that I'd never seen before in a superhero film, and I loved it. It was so good.
Yeah, at the time it was probably it's definitely one of the funniest superhero films out there, I would say. The ones you could say that could sort of rival it. like rivalry are like Guardians of the Galaxy, because those are comedy films as well. But obviously, this is a very different kind of comedy
Yeah,
film because it's
yeah. It's
very much full fall break.
well, the difference between Guardians and Deadpool. I feel like Guardians' humor is a bit more like with Drax. His like Drax is a really funny character, but his sense of humor is the fact that he thinks that saying innocent things is swearing, but it's not, and there's irony in that. Like he's like, "You're not gonna hurt my friends," and the way he delivers it is supposed to be like he sounds like he's saying something like dangerous or like naughty, but he's not. He's saying something really cute, and that's hilarious. Whereas Deadpool is like, yeah, you better get out of this room because I'm about to wank myself off with my baby hand.
Yeah,
So there is a difference. There is a difference, but they're both.
very funny though.
Oh, that's another. Actually, that's another combination that'd be great. Is like Star Lord and Drax and like Deadpool. But yeah, although I can't. It's weird because I don't know if I can imagine like a Guardians film that's like R18. I don't know if that's. It just wouldn't feel right.
Yeah.
But whatever. I'm just excited fan theories. But yes, I love the way this film tells his story, but not in the right order as well. Like it starts out with him in the middle, and it cuts in between the past and present, but it's not in a jarring way. Like it does it. The storytelling is very synced, and the fact that it's a fourth wall break means that the exposition is delivered in a really natural way because he gets to explain what's happening, but not in a way that feels off.
Yeah.
And I think that's really clever. The fact that the script utilizes the fourth wall break to make the exposition better and more entertaining.
Definitely, yeah. Well, the writers knew exactly what they were doing with the dialogue and using the fourth wall breaks to their advantage, I would say. Like it pretty much has like a purpose as well. In just natural storytelling, it uses it to benefit the story itself. It's very nicely done.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think when this film halts its comedy, like stops it for a long period of time, mainly when he's inside that base. I feel like that is actually really took me by surprise because I thought this film was just going to be pure jokes, but it really wasn't. Like there was a time period in this film where it was actually quite serious, and I think it was predominantly like from the moment he found out he had cancer all the way up to when he was being like tortured. It was very.
I would say post when he they put him inside the tube thing where he couldn't breathe properly, and then when it affects all his skin. I think from that point on, up until we get, I think, back to Deadpool is when it's very serious. Because if that was like an MCU film, there would be at least 2 jokes within that time frame.
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple, but there were the main one that I remember from that period was him trying to wind Ajax up. He was trying to wind him up, so it was actually very different kind of humor to the other parts of the film. But apart from that, yeah, it was very serious, and I feel like that was something that I didn't expect from this film that I really appreciated. It was very, very good. I like the fact that he was obviously doing absolutely anything he could because obviously he's like, well, I could fucking die, so I might as well do this because I care about her. But the fact that it's all sort of a twist that there's no fix. He's just being like made into a slave and he has to escape. And the fact that his looks are never going to be fixed. I like that. It's very good. Very it really takes him down a peg and it gives him a sort of it contributes to the moments in the film where he's anxious and doesn't want to see his girlfriend again because obviously he fears what she'll think if she sees him. But what I like about it is that all of his actions have consequences. It's not until he actually does something that things start to work for him. And I like that. It's good for continuity because sometimes in films that, like comedy films especially, they don't have enough focus on the continuity of the actions and consequences, and it becomes too like ridiculous. But even though there are a lot of ridiculous moments in this film, but the fact that they don't interrupt the actual what is going on, like the literal sense of what is going on. And I think I really appreciated that because it meant that I could just sit back and watch the film and enjoy it and not have to think about all the issues. But yeah, bloody good.
Yeah,
don't know what else to say really. He's just a brilliant character.
Yeah, he's a very good character. I think he's definitely the best part about it, as you should with the main character of the film. And he's done so well. He's perfect character. I would say pretty much spot on for what the character should be, and they use his full breaks to the story's advantage, but still make him a very relatable character that you can understand.
Yeah.
Right.
And one moment that I really appreciate is also the very ending, because I was thinking to myself, I could sort of see the forest of the trees, at the sort of near like the climax. I could sort of see what was going to happen. Like he was going to take the mask off, right? Mm-hmm. I basically knew that was going to happen. I was scared because I felt like what was going to happen was it was going to turn into this really cheesy ending, and it wasn't going to fit the tone of the film. But the way they did it was so well handled.
It felt in tone with the film completely.
It actually worked. Yeah.
What I like about this film as well is that it is comparing it to other films nowadays. It's pretty short comparing it to other films, and even though you do feel that it's short, it still feels like a complete story. It doesn't feel like, if anything, that sort of benefits it now because it feels like it has every scene that matters, and every scene matters to the story and to the plot and to the characters.
And that's
where you feel like, it makes you feel you want more.
Focused.
Yeah. It also makes you feel like you want more as well.
Oh, yeah.
Which is how a film should do, but not make it feel like there was something missing. Like everything that needed to be in this film was in it. It makes you just want more of the same.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is why it was smart for them in the post-credit scene to tease Deadpool too, the way they did.
It was very nice done.
Yeah.
It's a very nice reference to Harry Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, and also, before I forget, the fucking opening title sequence where it has none of the actual names. It's just like some guy, some idiots.
Yeah.
Some CGI.
Yeah. And I think they had a magazine cover with Ryan Reynolds on it as well.
Yeah, the Sexiest Man Alive one.
Yeah.
But then they also have the one from like 2008 with Hugh Jackman on it.
Yep. It was brilliant. And he uses that for under his mask.
Obviously, there's like with all these X-Men films, it's like even the ones that don't center around Wolverine, like First Class, and this one, there's always a cameo. The fact that his cameo in this film is this fucking magazine of Sexiest Man Alive from 2008 is so clever. Oh,
no, very funny.
Yeah, hilarious. I mean, I could talk about Deadpool all day, but I'm not sure if there's anything else substantial I could say. It's just really good, isn't it?
It's just the best part about it, and as it should be, since the film is called Deadpool.
Yeah, it's everything I hoped it would be and more.
Definitely.
And it makes me miss CM Punk because he's the equivalent of Deadpool in wrestling. So much bloody charisma. Yeah. If only he was allowed to fucking swear.
Yeah.
But Vince is allowed to swear, isn't he? I'll say I'll fucking beat you again.
Yep.
Oh dear. Wrestling's shit. It is now. Speaking of, at quiz tonight, there was a question, a wrestling question. It was like, whose finisher is the DDT? And it was Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh, that's the easy one, yeah.
But what's easy for us? But I was thinking like the rest of the quiz room was like, that's actually quite obscure. Like you have to have good knowledge of 80s wrestling.
Because everyone does the DDT now.
exactly. But you'd have to have pretty good knowledge of 80s wrestling to know that
Yeah.
that the person who owns the DDT is Jake the Snake Roberts. Like, you know,
Mm.
but whatever. But yeah, I was happy about that. Anyway, should we move on to the next character?
Mhm.
Okay, we have Vanessa, who's obviously Wade Wilson's fiance. So I'm gonna right off the bat say I think that the actress who plays her, who is Morena Baccarin, who I don't think I've ever seen before in anything else. Like I don't recognize her name. I'll just have a look at the films she's been in. Um, don't think I've seen any of those films. Let's see, TV. Firefly, haven't seen Firefly, but I've heard
No, I
about
haven't
it.
seen Firefly.
Always
Yeah.
Sunny in Philadelphia, haven't seen that either. Um, oh, she's in How I Met Your Mother. I didn't know that. It was just one episode, apparently. Let me see. She's done a lot of TV. A lot of TV shows. Um, oh, she's in Gotham. Interesting. Um, well, I haven't really seen her before this. So,
No, this is the only thing I've ever seen her in. So.
yeah. So, I've got, right off the bat, bloody attractive. Very,
Mm.
very attractive.
Mm.
Yeah. Right up there with Jennifer Connelly and Hulk and um, Emma Stone in Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Mm.
And probably there's I can't remember. There's lots of
Hope in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
And Endgame as well. Her brief
Yeah.
appearance. Although I don't like the teleport scene.
Yeah, the stupid teleport scene that makes no sense, and it's only
And I'm
for
not the biggest fan of
representation
I'm not the biggest fan of Ant-Man and the Wasp as a film either.
No.
But she's bloody hot in that. Anyway, enough about that. But yes, I was like, Jesus Christ, that's bloody good looking woman. And I was when I first saw her, I was thinking, is this going to be one of those situations where like that's all her character is? Because I was a bit worried that might be what it is. Because like, well, this is a restricted film, so they might rely on that. Because obviously, you know, there are plenty of casual moviegoers that be like, oh well, she's hot, so I like her. But no, she actually did have a character, and I was
She has
pleased.
a proper, actual, real character that you can also relate to, and you buy the chemistry between her and Wade. Like,
Yeah,
it's
and
so perfect.
Oh yeah, and the fact that she's like there's the whole scene of like him referencing nerdy shit like Star Wars, and she knows more than him about it. Like he's just like, oh, it's like I made you as a robot.
Yeah, as a computer. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, she does. I think probably the only thing that maybe you could say is that she does lack a bit of screen time, which does make her ending feel a little bit underdeveloped. But I don't think that's a problem, mainly because she's not the focus of the film.
No, she's the like he says at the end of the film, like you don't have to be a hero to get the girl. So that's kind of like it's that sort of trope, but it's still there's still depth to it because she's a relatable character and she actually has a proper character behind her.
Yeah. And I also think that what I like about her is that she's actually very consistent with her attraction to him. And because I was paying very close attention to the scenes between them because I wanted to because I'm very aware of tropes that are used in like romantic storylines.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, you know, this one could be interesting because it's very different. It seems like this kind of film up to this point, by the time she was introduced, I was thinking this is like, you know, in a lot of films, like especially the MCU, a lot of the romances sort of follow tent poles of like, you know, this is what happens in every fucking film, and like, you know, you get like a bunch of cliches. So what I was doing is like, you know what, I'm going to pay really close attention to what she does and try and remember all of her things to see what, like, compare it to other romances. And what I like about it is, despite the fact that Wade has this anxiety that she won't like him for his appearance, in the first scene that she meets him, it's actually clear to me that she was attracted to his personality. Very clear. And I noticed that, and I was like, I picked that up, and I was like, I know that this is Ryan Reynolds, but I'm by paying attention to what she's responding to, I noticed that she was actually responding more to his personality, which means the ending of the film makes sense, and I like that a lot. I appreciated that. I really appreciated that. So yeah, very, very good romance, and I like the fact that she has, within the plot, she is playing the damsel in distress, but because this movie is so self-aware, they're basically like, yeah, you know what's happened. It's every fucking film has this. Let's turn to the screen and tell you what's happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like her character. It was refreshing.
Yeah, I do too. I think she's great.
Yeah, and not refreshing in the same way that the Japanese girl from the Wolverine was, because that was a very different kind of refreshing, to the sense that she was had a very old soul and was very wise and quite calm. And that was more of a, like you said with, I think you said with Ragnarok about cultural comedy, like that was very much of a cultural romantic interest.
Yeah.
Whereas this one was on the surface sexually driven, but there was a lot under it, a lot of interesting subtext under it. And with her sort of limited screen time that she had, I thought it was very well executed. So yeah, there's my ramble about Vanessa.
I think she's just a fantastic character. I think how they're both sort of like the same person. So like in a sense, like in real world, they're like perfect for each other. But it's another thing having that in a film and make it seem, have good chemistry and make it seem that they are for each other. And the film does it perfectly, I would say. They are very clearly, their chemistry between the two actors is fantastic. But they are linked with each other so well. The writing for them is perfect, I would say. And you completely buy the relationship, and it makes you want Deadpool to win in the end. Because we know he's going to, but you are pulling for him to do it at the end of the film, making sure she survives it as well. So, yeah, I think the romance is great, and I think the character is great. While obviously she's not the main focal point of the film, but it's meant to be about a Deadpool and his rise as a character. So she is the sort of damsel in distress, but that doesn't put a detriment to what her character up to that point was. So it really doesn't bother me because we already know what a good character she is at that point.
Yeah, and also, one other thing I'm going to say is, what I like about this is that actually, because there's a lot of people, that obviously this film was watched by millions and millions of people, right? There's a lot of people out there that have this stereotype that people that work in strip clubs or like pole dancing clubs, they have this sort of idea in their mind that those people have absolutely no personality and are just dumb. And that's what I like about this character, is that actually shows that that's not true. Because
she has a ton of personality.
Oh yeah, and because I've met people in real life that work at those places, and it couldn't be further from the truth. They are usually the most interesting, quirky people out there. And it's just their profession, whether you agree with it or not, because obviously some people don't approve of that sort of thing. Whether you agree with it or not, to me that doesn't mean that they're not people. And what I like about this film is it really shows you the truth, because they are people. They do have personalities, and they're just like us. And yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way, because that was something I picked up on that I'm like, yeah, I like that. It's what is it? It is a good representation of characterization of people that work in a job that people don't approve of. There. Unlike someone like Captain Marvel, who people are like, oh, it's good representation of women. No, it's not.
It's bad representation of women, because it makes you look like horrible people.
Yeah, because it makes women like, oh, I'm justified to murder people because I'm a woman. No, fuck that.
I'm justified to destroy people's property to make a point, which doesn't even get solved.
Yeah. Whereas this film,
I just don't understand how any woman can look at a film like Captain Marvel and feel like that's good representation of them, when it's the complete opposite.
Absolutely.
Regardless of what she does, like, she kills millions of people. She kills millions of Skrulls, and it never gets brought up again because Captain Marvel was fucking great.
Fucking. That's like saying Emperor Palpatine's good representation of men.
Hmm.
Fucking. Oh, he
That's like
blows up.
saying Anakin Skywalker is a good representation of men.
Oh yeah,
Because he
because he.
goes from the hero, but then he goes into the villain. But throughout his whole story, he is troubled and very clearly not all there.
Yeah. Well, I would even with Hayden's choppy acting, I would still say
Mm.
Anakin's a better character than Captain Marvel.
Hmm. Yeah, just on the surface, it's a story that you can understand. It's just it's the element outside of that make it terrible.
Hmm. Yeah, but we'll get to that later in the year.
Yeah.
Good luck for that. But yes, Vanessa was a great character, and I hope all of the people that have been mistreated for their choice of occupation, and have been told that they don't have a personality were enlightened and empowered by this film.
Mhm. Definitely.
Yes. Um, yeah. Anyway, should we move on to the next character?
Hmm.
Oh, actually, before we do that, I just want to say the scene where he finds out he gets cancer, and she's like trying to like, oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? We need to find out what to do. Ryan Reynolds acting in that scene is so fucking
Yeah,
good.
that's what I was on about that line that he says is so great
And
and
what I
shows how
love
good the
about it,
writing is.
and what I
Yeah.
love about it is it's not him going, shit, I have cancer, I'm gonna die. He looks at her and
Hmm.
says, I don't like he's in tears because he doesn't want her life to get ruined.
Hmm.
Now that's love right there. Anyway, should we move on to the next character?
Hmm.
Okay. Francis Freeman, aka Ajax, played by Ed Skrein, who I recognize from Game of Thrones. He was in Game of Thrones season 3, and he was in the last 3 episodes playing a character called Dario Naharis. And then he was recast in season 4 as a different actor because he was doing this film.
Hmm.
So that's a bit of trivia. He left Game of Thrones to do this. Um, which is fair, because I like him in this too. I think
Yeah,
he's
I think while he's a character, is very much, hey, I'm just a bad person. He's still very entertaining in terms of acting.
yeah. Oh yeah. Um, I think there's something about the fact, and I know this may sound like I've just come off like defending stereotypes against people that work in like stripper bars, but
Mm.
there's something about like his demeanor that like there's like a stereotype to his demeanor that works for this
Mm.
character, but I think in contrast to what I just said, I feel like that's kind of the point. There's meant to be a stereotype to his character, and that's what makes it
Yeah.
entertaining. Because this is
Mm.
a very self-aware film, whereas like this guy is the villain because he's an asshole.
Yeah.
And I think it really works.
I think it really I would agree it works for the character. I think the actor does a fantastic job at making it not seem like he's such a one-dimensional villain.
Mm,
But it's like he's just very entertaining to watch, and he's very like hateable, I would say as well. Like the
mm,
scenes with him and Wade, I would say really irk you, and it gets under your skin. Like the way he like acts towards Wade and how he treats him and tortures him. And like obviously Wade is like bring out jokes all the time, and it annoys him when he finds out who his name is as well, which I think is a nice little thing that they do throughout the film. It's very nicely done, I would say. And when eventually he breaks down, Wade is like when you like really start to despise him,
mm.
and it makes it more satisfying by the end of the film when he just shoots him in the head after the speech from Colossus.
Yeah, yeah, that was
So it's
great.
very nicely done.
Yeah. Um. Also, I just had a thought when I was watching the film. when I saw it, Deadpool's transformation. I was thinking about the continuity and like how it connects to Origins, but then I remembered the film before this was Days of Future Past, which
It reset.
which basically erased that entire film, which
Yeah.
is great because that film was shit. And now Deadpool is good and not Weapon 11 bollocks.
Yeah, exactly. That was all done. That was all refixed. So
Yeah, I think I still, even though we're like the last four films we've watched, yeah, even like the last four films we've watched, like we've all really enjoyed them, like First Class, Wolverine, Days of Future Past, Deadpool. I would still say as a series, it's still kind of a mess.
Oh, I think the first half of the series is it really has let the whole franchise down, I would say, as a whole. Because even though there have been, I would say, total of like 3 films that have been either like from a bare minimum of average, there's still a lot of really mediocre films in the franchise as a whole. So
And I just think the consistency between the films and how they connect and how they sort of wipe, like obviously Days of Future Past wipes a lot of the slate clean because it has to. It's unfortunate because as a series, this is really a jumbled mess.
it is.
And it's unfortunate, but the fact that I think the reason why the standalone films in the X-Men franchise tend to be the best ones is because they are the most separate from this continuity.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the Wolverine and Deadpool are examples of that, where they are separate from this devastating continuity errors that are going on. That I think that's why they work so well as standalone films. But when you look at it as a series, you could say, well, the fact that this film like completely doesn't acknowledge Origins is unfortunate because you'd want it to be like that. You'd want a series to all be in one, if that makes sense. Because that's something that at least I can say about the MCU is that all the films feel connected and they all feel like they fit into one story. And I suppose the only one that sort of feels a bit redundant is Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's all very consistently connected, despite the fact that some of the films don't hit, and a lot of them are quite average. At least as a series, it all connects together, and that's what makes the Avengers films work, because the series as a whole is very well handled. Whereas with the X-Men films, it's the opposite. The standalone films tend to be the best, and the series as a whole is a jumbled clusterfuck.
Yeah, I would think that there are pros and cons to having a very connected universe and having it all feel quite similar. I would say, like the pro is like it all feels in line, it all feels in sync, but the con is that it feels quite restrictive in how creative some of them can be. Especially, like I think the biggest example is like a lot of the Phase 3 films, just in between Infinity War and Endgame, are the poorer ones in that phase. For example, with this franchise, while a lot of the films are very poor and very disconnected, there are some like this film here and Days of Future Past that feel like it's almost the franchise has been realized in a sense.
But it's a bit too late. You know what I mean?
But yeah, exactly. It is late. That's the thing. It did
14 years too late.
Yeah, that this is long. This franchise is like bigger, well, not bigger. It's been going on longer than the MCU, but it doesn't feel it from like how far we've jumped between like years of each of these films have been released.
Yeah,
it just feels so much weaker.
Yeah, whereas with the MCU, you look at Phase 1, right? The quality of the films isn't particularly high overall, like the solo films, but Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, I suppose Iron Man 2, Thor and Captain America the First Avenger, they all have a building process. And whilst the films themselves may not be spectacular, although maybe Iron Man 1 you could argue in some ways it is, whilst they may not be spectacular, in terms of building the characters, they do actually do a very good job because the apart from obviously Incredible Hulk because that was shit, but like obviously Tony Stark, um, and you think about like Captain America, and I would even argue, obviously maybe some people disagree with this, but I would even argue Thor and Thor 1 is the best part of that film, maybe Loki, but whatever. And then what makes that series work, the crucial point that made that series work was the Avengers. The fact that they got that film right is what makes the series great. The
Yeah.
problem with X-Men is it doesn't do that because it's not focused. The films don't focus on building the characters one by one to assemble them into this group that make it all work. They're thrown to you all at once, and by the time you get to the last stand, it's disappointing because none of them have got enough focus. It's all just a mess. And it took them until very late in the game to finally figure it out. And it's a shame because I wish they could have done it better and had it be more focused because you really could have had done something special if it had been more like that. Yeah. But you know how it is. There's nothing we can do now. Right. But yeah, going back to Ajax. Yeah, just I think the ideal villain for this film because he really bounces off Deadpool in a lot of ways. Like,
Yeah, he does.
The fact that he's a butt of the jokes, but it doesn't make him less menacing, is quite clever.
No. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I would agree.
And yeah, just overall very happy with the performance and the character as a whole.
Yeah, I think the performance is great, and I think the character is, while not as in depth as I like villains to be, it's still a fun performance, and it's still a decent character, I would say, where you want him to lose, Deadpool to win. So I think in that sense, it does its job well. So
Yeah.
I would say for the character.
And in terms of him leaving Game of Thrones, I was a bit disappointed when he left. However, Dario Naharis is like not even in like the top 50 most important characters, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And I'm happy that he did this film because he's great in this.
Yeah, definitely.
Should we move on to the next character?
Yep.
So we have Weasel, who is obviously Wilson's best friend. He's the guy who works at the
The bar, yes.
the bar. Yeah, I love the joke he says when he says when he sees the poo emoji and he thinks it was like chocolate yogurt or something.
Yeah, he says he thought he was chocolate yogurt for so long.
And then also like after Deadpool says he hid like all this cocaine on like next to the old lady's thing. And then, like, he just says, "You want to get fucked up?" Yeah, and also the scene when he's just like, "Oh, come on, man, you gotta face your fear. You gotta face her. It's important." And then he takes off his hood and he's like, "Jesus Christ, you are fucking ugly." Yeah, he was a good sidekick character, honestly.
Yeah.
I like him a lot, and it just. Again, it's one of those characters that adds to the clockwork of the film where he's not in it too much, but when he's in it, he's good.
It's yeah, I think because the actor, like, I think he's known for, like, I think he did the Emoji Movie, which is, and he's done other stuff as well that I've seen. I think the actor's, I think he's recently, as I can't remember, he's done something in the public eye, and it's not been. I think when in build up to Deadpool 2, there was something going on, and he's can't remember what. So I always have that in the back of my mind every time I watch him. But as a character, I think he is very funny. It's very just like he's a sidekick that isn't taken very seriously, and you shouldn't take him seriously. He's just literally the butt of the jokes he is. And I think the jokes he has are very funny.
Legal issues and controversies. Okay, should we talk about this?
I think it happened during the build up to Deadpool 2. I remember Because I remember
Right.
when the trailer came out for it, I remember there was talk of that kind of stuff. So it was during that time. So it wasn't. I don't think it was too much during here, but I do remember something like that popping up.
Okay. Well, there's a lot here. There's a lot. There's an Uber assault incident.
Yeah,
There's allegations of transphobia. There's allegations of sexual assault. There's a bomb threat. And there's work misconduct.
yeah. It's I can't remember I didn't remember the details at the time, but yeah, I knew there was something up. So it was like, that's not great.
Hmm. And apparently he's also got he's got hang on. He had like an undiagnosed cerebral. I can't even say this. It's so tongue twisty. Undiagnosed cerebral arteriovenous malformation on his right frontal lobe, which sounds terrible. So he had to have brain surgery for it. So I'm not saying that these controversies are justified at all, because obviously what he did wasn't good. You know, obviously there's no excuses for sexual assault, bomb threats, you know, all that stuff. But I think the fact that he has brain damage might contribute to part of it.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, it may be a mental health issues, and you just hope that he gets help. You know,
yeah,
that's all you can hope for. But in terms of the film, I enjoyed him.
Yeah,
So
I think the character's funny. It's very much like direct comedy. I would say he just like say, "Oh, this," and it's a funny and it is funny. So like, it's sometimes these kind of films do have that sort of character that is very much forefront. This is blunt and it's funny. You know, and I think it does it pretty well. Sometimes that could be a bit like, well, yeah, that's a bit lazy comedy, but I think for this it works actually pretty well because I think the dialogue is so good.
Oh, he could have easily been an annoying character, easily, but he wasn't.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, there's not much more to say than that. He's just
Yeah, because he doesn't like affect the plot anyway. He's just a character that's there that is funny.
I like that he has a bar that like protects him.
Yeah.
Then we had Angel Dust. I believe she's the like black,
Strong.
short hair, strong one. That is she the one that goes on fire, or is the
No. She's the because that's Megasonic. The
oh
other one
yes,
that's the strong like woman who's got the long hair who's like the
oh yeah,
sidekick to Francis.
yes, I do. Yes. I remember.
She
Now.
pretty much doesn't have a character, and she's more of a set piece character that is meant to be intimidating, but it was still pretty funny.
Yes, I love the fact that he stole the match off her and set the building on fire through the oxygen filter. That was very clever. Very clever. Apparently,
another funny joke is like when she does the superhero landing and that Deadpool's like pouring it out. Just
it
like,
reminds, there's a scene from Thor. There's a scene from Thor that looks exactly like it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he jumps down, I'm telling you, it's the exact same fucking shot. But like because it's funny, like it's so funny.
It could be in reference to that specific one. They had like a example that they pulled up and then they did that. Don't know, maybe. But it's just a funny like trope on like superhero landings, and it's just like, oh, that's bad for your knees.
Oh well, Thor's fat now, so if he does a superhero landing, he'll just fucking flop over. But yeah, she was cool. Nothing too special, but she was again set piece character and wasn't wasted, unlike some other set piece X-Men characters can be.
Yeah, definitely.
Then of course we had Negasonic Teenage Warhead, which I feel like is just another like inside joke as well. The fact that he
Mhm.
references her like as the character from Alien 3, like I knew exactly what it
Yeah.
was because I've seen
Yeah, that's
trailers
funny.
for Alien. I've seen trailers for the Alien films, and like the one thing that stands out about Alien 3 is the fact that the woman's bald or like has short
Yeah,
hair.
Ripley's like
So like
bold.
when Deadpool said that to her, I cracked. I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just funny. It's just funny references.
I love the scene, the fact that he's like, oh, this house is like too big for her to have two people in it, and the fact that it's Professor X's house as
Yeah,
well.
it's almost as if they could only afford two X-Men.
Oh dear, the inside references in this are
It's brilliant.
genius. The fact that the studio is willing to make fun of themselves,
Mm.
it actually makes them money. The
Yeah,
saying that they're poor makes them rich.
like that moment made them like a couple million.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and the DVD buys because they're like, I want to rewatch that film that makes fun of its own studio.
Yeah,
The WWE
brilliant.
would never do that.
No.
Never. Unless it was CM Punk on a live mic shooting. But
Hmm.
like, they wouldn't script that because they don't have the balls to. Because they're like, oh, we are the best. We make all the money. And
Such
al-
good shit.
and also, if they said that the WWE was poor, no one would fucking believe them.
No,
No.
because they're not. They're a multi-millionaire company.
But the fact that at around this time, like people were aware that like Disney was like just creeping up on Fox, like we're gonna buy your studio. It's gonna be all ours, and they're like self-admitting it on in their actual film that they're like, we're
Mm.
poor, please help. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, it wasn't enough because whilst Deadpool made money, Dark Phoenix and Apocalypse obviously didn't. So
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe they did, but
I doubt it. I think no, Dark Phoenix. I think did poorly because like it's an awful film.
yeah, well, because it's like, oh, it's an X-Men film and Hugh Jackman's not in it. Why the fuck would I want to watch it?
And it's another goddamn prequel film. Like now, there's been like four of these now.
Ugh. Yeah, because they're like, oh, we need to finish this X-Men Origins series.
Do
Whether
you though? Do you really need to make a Dark Phoenix film? No, I didn't think so. With the awful actress that is Sophie Turner.
well, we'll get to that.
Right.
She's had a bad year. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah, she has.
Game of
Mhm.
Thrones season 8 and Dark Phoenix. Absolute fucking balls. I did a 5-hour rant on this channel. Go check that out. Me, Jake, and Daniel absolutely ripped it to shreds,
Yeah.
and it was great. I think I put on Twitter. It's like in my top 4 favorite videos
Yeah,
on the channel.
yeah. Like you said, it was like top four videos, and two
It's
of those are
so
5 hours long.
yeah, in game as well. And then you got the Saranga Conundrum review.
I
And
was
the
like trying to find that the other day. I was trying to find you and Adam's rant on like the master, or like your whole like 5 minute stuff out of the master. I was
I
like
think
trying to find it.
well, I think there's one really good one in the Arachnids in the UK review.
Yeah.
We first started to sort of see, oh yeah, Series 11's not going to be what we think it is. And then we
No.
got to the Saranga Conundrum and we're like, well, wipe out.
It's down the toilet.
Yeah. Um, I was surprised that this film didn't have that many characters, but that's probably what makes it so good, is because it focuses on what it
Yeah,
needs to.
it only has like six
Like 6
characters,
main
seven characters. It has six. Well, even then, I would say it has like four main characters. Like you have Colossus, you have Negasonic, you've got Deadpool, and you've got not Francesca, sorry, Vanessa. And then you've obviously got the villain.
I would even say Deadpool, Vanessa, and Ajax are the only main characters.
Oh yeah,
Really.
your proper main important to the plot characters. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to Colossus. So he was in the other films, right?
I don't think it's the same actor, but he was obviously Colossus was in the first. I think no, he was in the two of the X-Men films, and he was in Days of Future Past, but it was a different actor. I think. I wouldn't be. It's most probably a different actor. I'll put my money on it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, Colossus is like very like stereotypical. I'm good superhero. You do right thing.
Yeah. You know the
Heroic
first,
speech.
the first frame, like the very first time I saw him on screen, I'm like, is this meant to be like a piss take of Arnold Schwarzenegger? Like,
I'm not sure, but it was still very funny.
yeah. He's played by Stefan.
Breakfast. Eat your protein. It's good for your bones.
You notice he got fucking jacked? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was massive.
Which doesn't make any sense because he's made of metal, so it wouldn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, it was funny, very funny. I love the scene when obviously you said Deadpool tries to like beat him up and he fucking breaks all his limbs. And then at the very end of the film, Deadpool's like, "Oh, good luck with that," and then she just fucking hits him and he flies by.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
I love when he walks onto the highway and then Deadpool like his fist goes backward and he's just like, "Dad," it's just like it's fucking hilarious.
and the fact that at the end of the film, this fucking man made of metal tries to make this like empowering, like cheesy speech, and then
4 or 5 moments that make you a true hero, and just shoots him in the head. And he's like, "Why?"
I'm like, I was like, how is he vomiting? He's made of metal. Like, what is he vomiting? Like more metal?
I don't know. I think in his turn he still
Does
has
he
like
have?
organ stuff.
Does he have a soldering iron in his throat?
Yeah, no, I don't know the details of his mutation.
Yeah, it doesn't need explaining, honestly.
He's just a mailman.
But yeah, yeah, he's a great foil to Deadpool because he's very self-serious and he's a goody two-shoes in comparison to Deadpool, who's the opposite.
I'm trying to recruit you for the X-Men. You'd be a good hero, Deadpool.
Yeah, how the fuck did my friend not know that this was an X-Men film? How? Oh,
we've got massive X's on the shirts. How could you not tell we are X-Men?
oh yes, and I was happy that Negasonic was wearing the classic X-Men outfit.
Oh yeah.
Who was after that? Then we also had with Blind Al, yeah. She was again another funny character.
Yeah, just
she's
funny.
like it's like the bloody the woman from the woman from like the convenience store from Venom, but like done way better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She was very funny. I love the scene when she's like trying to build that IKEA cabinet and then she sits down and it all just falls over.
That's brilliant. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's the last time I go on Craigslist.
I love the fact that Deadpool's just like, yep, she's old, blind, black, and like what else did he say?
I can't remember what else he said. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very blunt, and then she was a very blunt character as well.
Oh yeah.
But I love the fact that they're basically the entire time they're just like throwing shade at each other, but then they have this like heart to heart moment where they like hug like family.
It's brilliant. I think it's so funny.
Oh, yeah. And again, this is a character that could have easily not worked, but it did. I think that's what surprised me about this film is there's so many characters that I'm like that could have easily been so shit, but it's not.
Oh yeah, definitely. Right?
This is one of the best handled comedies I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. Then we had Dopinder, the taxi driver.
Oh yeah.
This is like when I saw him, I was like, I just knew it was gonna be good, because this actor perfectly nails it. The fact that he has so much respect for Deadpool's like sense of humor that he's not even gonna charge him. He's just like, oh, high five, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
And then the fucking twist, like this guy has a whole arc and storyline, and he's in 2 scenes. The fact that his he's jealous of this guy that's stolen his like love, so he keeps him in his fucking boot of his car because
And the
Deadpool.
car crashes.
Yeah, because Deadpool told him to.
Yeah, and he's like, I did not tell him to do that. I'm so proud of you. Kill him.
Oh,
So
brilliant.
funny.
God. It's like Deadpool's equivalent to like Mr. Aziz, like this character that appears like very briefly, but is just so funny.
Yeah.
Except it's the opposite because Mr. Aziz fucking hates Peter Parker, whereas like this guy loves Deadpool.
Yeah.
Oh, the actor for him is funny as well. Very good.
Oh yeah, very good. His comedic timing is also great.
Oh, and was I glad to see Stan Lee after all this time of not him
yeah.
films, and he's the fucking pimp at the strip club. Like,
Yeah, but it's like one of his best cameos. In
so,
terms of just like what the actual situation is, it's one of his best cameos.
oh yeah.
Give it up for Chastity.
Fucking hell. I like that because it's like this is like the one time that we got the chance to use him in an R18 film, so let's make it as fucking.
Make it just as crazy as it seems. Yeah.
Oh, rest in peace. I was so glad because like he hasn't been in an X-Men film in ages.
No.
Pretty sure it's like since X-Men 3.
Yeah, I haven't. Well, he hasn't been in any of them since like
X-Men 3, I think.
yeah, since some of the early ones. Yeah.
Mm.
He's been just so focused on the MCU because they produce decent films compared to the X-Men films.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, this has been
to be fair, he was in Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. So
his cameo in Amazing Spider-Man 1 is good though.
oh, it's good, but the film
best.
overall is awful.
Yeah, it's the best scene in the whole bloody film.
Yeah.
And then the second one's not even good. It's like, what the fuck?
You know your film is bad when the best scene in your film is a Stan Lee cameo.
And
that's not a knock on Stan Lee, that's a knock on the film.
And you know your film is shit and you can't even get the Stan Lee cameo right, which is Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I think I know that guy.
At least Captain Marvel has a good Stan Lee cameo.
Like Stan Lee would have oh no, yeah, he would have known because he's seen Peter at the school at some point because he was the fucking janitor at the school or whatever. Or bookworm thing, whatever.
What about David Banner, the janitor, hey? I re-listened to that review the other day because I was bored. Man, you went off on David Banner.
I didn't like it at all. I just didn't like it.
You hated that film.
It's so long. It's so long when it doesn't need to be. It's like it's an hour longer than it should.
Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, Stan Lee was great.
It was great. It was funny.
There was something to do with, I think there was, Bob, Agent of Hydra. Was there a cameo appearance of that?
I can't remember. I remember there was the Agent Smith looking person. I remember there was someone else in the facility that Wade was talking to. I remember there was the guy at the bar who Vanessa grabbed his balls after he slapped her ass.
Oh yeah, that's right. The bloody,
which is funny.
Bloody Gandalf.
Yep. Go cast a spell.
Yeah. So it's interesting how the Wolverine and this one actually had Hydra in the background.
I didn't notice it at all. So, unless I guess that was Hydra then, the facility or whatever. I guess if that's what that is in reference to, because Hydra had for example, Crossbones. I know that came after it dissolved, but they still had that sort of stuff going on, I guess.
Mm. Um.
I don't know.
Now, what I was going to say before is that Stanley had a good year for cameos in 2016 because that year you also had Tony Stank as well.
In Civil War, yeah.
Yeah, and it perfectly fit the scene. This emotional moment between Iron Man and Rhodey. Obviously, Rhodey's been paralyzed.
Mm.
The fact that like they've just and it comes right at the end of it, like they've just
Right
sort
in
of
the film, yeah. Everything's
right at the end of the
happened.
film, and like they're having like this emotional moment, and like they're sort of like obviously it's emotional because obviously he's paralyzed, but they're sort of smiling like hey, it's all right, and then fucking Stanley comes in and says, "Or for Tony Stank," and it's the fucking funniest thing. Oh, beautiful. And then of course you had Wolverine's cameo on the People magazine Sexiest Man Alive cover. And the fact that she takes his mask off and Hugh Jackman's face is on his face.
Mm. It's brilliant.
So good. Do you reckon Hugh Jackman got a payday for that?
Probably not, but hey, just faces in the Deadpool film.
Yeah. Right. I think that's all the characters. So, this film is written by Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick. I'm just going to go to their pages to see what else they've done. Rhett Reese is a film producer, television producer, and screenwriter. He is known for Zombieland. He was the writer for that. G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Yeah.
Um, anyone wondering, that's not the one with Christopher Eccleston. That one was Rise of the Cobra. Which apparently was also shit, similar to Dark World.
Mm-hmm.
Poor guy. He's also going to be writing Zombieland Double Tap and Watch Dogs. And yeah, that's about it, really. So, aside from, I suppose Zombieland maybe was his sort of big break.
I guess, yeah.
Weirdly, he wrote Clifford's really big movie, obviously Clifford the Big Red Dog, which is interesting because that's like a kid's film.
Yeah. I guess,
So,
yeah, it would be.
multi-talent, I suppose. Um, but yeah, he doesn't have a lot on his Wikipedia, so interesting, like, obviously a very fresh take and possibly a risk, but it worked. Then you got Paul Wernick. Let's see his stuff. Again, Zombieland. I think I think they might be a sort of like duo, like those two,
Yeah, that's
Reese and
probably.
Paul Wernick. So I thought they did a brilliant job. The dialogue, the scripts, just everything was on point.
I would say so, yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, so not only was this film a massive breakout from Ryan Reynolds into like legitimacy as a great actor, but this was also for them as writers as well. Like him as an actor and them as writers work like magic together.
Pretty much, yeah. It's pretty
It's
much
like
spot on.
it's like Russell T Davies and David Tennant. It's the
Very
same
much, yeah.
thing.
Like, it complements each other. Yeah.
Yeah. And this film was directed by Tim Miller. Let's see his stuff. Interesting. The only other film he's directed is Terminator Dark Fate, which hasn't come out yet, has it?
No, it's the one that's coming out this year.
Right. Wow. He was the second unit director for the opening sequence of Thor the Dark World. That's interesting.
Was the opening for Dark World good, at least for visually? I can't remember.
Oh, it was Odin telling the story of the Dark Elves, I think.
Mm.
I mean, the special effects in Dark World are pretty good. Like the practical effects.
It's just a
And
shame that no one remembers them because of how bad the film is.
yeah, it's unfortunate, really. But Adam remembers them, so good for that. Um, Interestingly, though, like based on all of the things that he said about all the MCU films, I'm pretty sure it's still his least favorite one. So I can't think of one other one because he's very possibly because he's grown up with the comics and watched these films as a kid, especially the fact that he watched Phase 1 as a kid. He's very forgiving of the MCU, Adam is. Like, he likes all the films, I'm pretty sure, except for Dark World. But he still likes a lot of elements of Dark World. So, yeah, he seems to be very positive on the MCU as a whole.
Mm.
And he defends a lot of the more, like, unpopular films, too.
I mean, you still can't defend Captain Marvel. It's impossible.
No, he thinks it's okay.
It's not okay. It's shit. It's like there's so many problems with it. It's
Mm.
you can on a subjective level, if you like it, that's fine. But when you're talking about how you make a film, how you characterize a film, how you characterize a character, when they're first introduced into a big franchise like the MCU, you've got to make sure it's at least good. And Captain Marvel's good. It ruins her entire character, and it's going to stain her character for Captain Marvel 2. Whether or not that film could be good is not relevant in terms of how you feel going into it. It's Captain Marvel was an atrocious film. It had to retcon the MCU to benefit this character, and it didn't even do that well. So I cannot find a single element of Captain Marvel that is beneficial to the MCU. It's not even talking about Brie Larson's performance. It's not even talking about any other people's involvement. Just as a film, it does a horrible job. Yeah, it retcons so much to benefit itself, and it fails to do so anyway. So it's poorly handled. It's
the only
not
good things.
good. So,
the only good things about it are the aged down special effects of Samuel Jackson. That's phenomenal.
And I didn't.
And Stanley's cameo.
Yeah, and I didn't mind Jude Law, to be honest. I just think because Jude Law is a good actor, but I didn't mind him.
The character's wasted.
But yeah, the character's wasted. That's the thing. So like, I can never agree with anybody who says it's good because you are objectively wrong because there's so much problems with it.
Oh, and the fucking that Captain Marvel has damaged Spider-Man Far From Home as well. Not only for Nick Fury but also the Skrulls.
Yeah.
That post-credit scene, like not the Jameson one, which was like the best ever thing.
To
happen to an film.
Yeah,
but,
it's just.
But the second one with the Skrulls and Nick Fury, like that is a shit one. And the main reason why is because Captain Marvel's shit.
Yeah. Like, Captain Marvel has ruined the Skrulls going forward, and it has to be a mighty job to recover them. They could probably do it, but it's going to take a really great film with them to do it. Because, like, it's just, Captain Marvel has so many fucking problems. And it's not, you can't say, oh, that's just your opinion. Opinions about how something is done wrong is not opinions. It's, this is wrong, here's the evidence for it. Therefore, it is bad and poorly handled, and that's Captain Marvel in a nutshell.
Like, imagine if in Guardians 1 they had fucked up Thanos.
Yeah.
Like
if they did that, then it would ruin Infinity War.
Like, the amount of money.
If you still had Infinity War, it would still be a great film because it fixed his character rather than it made him a great character. There was a job to be done if Guardians had fucked up Thanos in a really bad way. So, yeah. So that's an example of you're introducing a character that we know is there, but is getting a little bit more screen time, and we're starting to learn more about them. If you fuck it up, it then ruins what's come before, and it ruins what is going to come next. It just, what comes next needs to do better to fix it. So it's giving itself more of a job than it already needed to be. And that's what Captain Marvel did for Endgame, for example, because she's pretty much non-existent in the film. Because that's a big thing. Like, at any point, if they could have called Captain Marvel to help them out with the time heist, they absolutely could have. And it's just like... But they needed to keep her out of it because of a fucking film.
And because how the fuck do you write a character like that? She's literally a walking plot device.
You can't. You can. It's like she's so overpowered. Anyone who doesn't think
the only time they brought her into the film, the only time they brought her into the film was the final battle because that's actually the point where she can be stopped.
She blows up a fucking ship, and it gets help for no reason, and then
Yeah.
gets headbutt by Thanos, and it doesn't do anything, and it takes the
Yeah.
stone to fucking
Yeah, because if she
take it
traveled
down.
back in time, there'd be so many plot holes if the story went the same way it did. So many. And they had to not have her travel back in time because they didn't want to deal with those plot holes. So the only reason why they were able to bring her at the end is because Thanos has the power to stop her.
Mhm.
But if she'd been in any other point of the film, it'd be just a fucking mess because Captain Marvel's shit.
Yeah, it's not. It's just an awful film. It's an awful, and she's an awful character. Like, yes, there's no two ways about it. She's an awful character because she ruins the MCU.
Yeah, and
She,
also it's interesting the fact that I was saying a few months ago about like, oh, I can imagine in the future like a second civil war between Captain Marvel and Spider-Man. Well, that's not going to fucking happen now because Captain
no,
Marvel's a piece of garbage character and Spider-Man's gone.
yeah.
And now
Like
we've got
going forward, it's the MCU is gonna have to do a big rebuilding job. While Endgame was
oh yeah,
great
we'll just bring back
for
Jane
an ending,
Foster and Darcy for no fucking
yeah,
reason.
yeah, I think the MCU's got to properly focus on rebuilding what they have and just slowly building up instead of trying to rush everything out
Yeah.
or even just try to make balls to the wall films and try to do too much because that's the biggest worry going forward. I think.
You know how pissed I am. They're just like, oh yeah, let's remove the three things that Connor liked about Ragnarok, that being Hulk, Loki, and Odin, and let's introduce back the two worst things about Thor: The Dark World, Darcy and Jane Foster.
Yeah, into the MCU. It's just like,
Like Kevin Feige, are you actually retarded? What are you
yeah,
doing?
yeah. I do not understand. I don't understand the benefit of bringing back Darcy. Even if you like her, what is her benefit of being back? What does that improve on the MCU? Because she was in two of the worst regarded films in the MCU. One better than the other, by I would say a pretty decent margin, but it's
I'll say
still not of
this.
great quality.
I'll say this. I like Thor 1, but she is terrible in it.
Yeah, and so
So
is Jane.
so even for someone like me, who technically speaking, appears in a film that I like, I still wouldn't bring her back because she's the worst part about it.
Yeah.
The worst.
She's only been in one good film, and that's Endgame, and even then, that was a deleted scene from Dark World. So even technically, she hasn't starred and filmed in a good MCU film so far, and I'm not confident that she ever will be. So, yeah. But when we go back to like Deadpool, it's like this is a film that does what it sets out to do. It does it right, and it does it properly. It doesn't try to shove all these things into one basket and see if it mixes well into a nice omelette.
Oh god, imagine if Natalie Portman was in this film.
Yeah.
God. Hayden Christensen as and Natalie Portman as Deadpool and Vanessa.
Mm.
Fucking trash. But we'll get to the Attack of the Clones review in a few months.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be fun. Although it's actually not too far away. It's actually not.
Because we've got next up we've got Apocalypse, then we've got
Logan, I think.
Then we've
Deadpool
got
2.
Deadpool 2, and then Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, and then we've got.
So we've only got a month worth left.
Yeah, and then after that will be Star Wars. So it's not too far away. It's a couple of months.
Close.
It's a couple of months for Attack of the Clones.
3 months away. So.
Hmm. Yep. But yes, talking about the direction, we haven't really talked about the cinematography.
I think it's shot really well.
It's excellent.
I thought it was shot really well.
It's shot with point of view, which is always the best. But not like point of view in the sense that you see from their eyes. It's point of view in the sense that you see from where they are standing. And it's very good looking. The CGI is very good. The action.
I think the CGI is great in this film.
CGI is great, and the editing is excellent as well because editing in comedy is essential.
Getting timing right and making sure it all flows correctly making sure the jokes are properly structured between each other, making sure again the timing is good between that. So it's very hard to do, and I think this film does it brilliantly well.
Yeah. The only shot maybe that stands up to me that I wasn't too big on was the zoom out, like when at the end of the film. That felt a bit like it could have been a bit more interesting than just like zooming away. It felt
I
a little
think
bit like
it still was like a trope, like in the sense of like it does like that's the end of the film, and it's just like he's like Deadpool's like wrapping up over narration, so it was still decent. But I agree that it did look a bit dodgy. I think the shot itself.
Mm. But apart from that, I can't think of anything else that was bad because it was like still when it needed to be, when it let the comedy speak for itself, and it was action packed when it needed to be, when it needed to boost the momentum. Very good direction, and very good visual storytelling. Jumps back and forth between time, but it's not confusing. Graphics look all crisp. Overall, just very, very good.
Yep, I agree. Yep.
I think the main problem, though, is that I didn't really pay attention to the direction because I was so engrossed in the...
I wasn't really paying attention to how it was shot and directed in general either, but I just know that it was all natural, and it was just like quite simple, and it didn't need to be extravagant. I think because
I think
the element that you are catered to is the comedy and how it's done.
Yeah, I think if you're so engrossed in a film that you aren't jarred by any direction choices, that means it's good.
Yeah.
Oh, and also the horror scenes as well worked really well. Very gritty, like when he's in the oxygen tank, like when he's being whipped, like those scenes are really well done too. It generally made me feel like quite sick.
Yeah, it was like gross stuff. It was.
And then the music was done by Tom Hulkenborg, who apparently is known by the stage name Junkie XL or JXL. He's a Dutch composer. So let's see. Film scores. Siberia. Oh dear, is that film that people say is like the... Oh no, it's not that one. Okay, I was thinking like that's the like most violent film ever, but it's not that one. I'm thinking of something else. Let's see. Anything else I recognize? 300 Rise of an Empire. I've heard of that one. Oh, he was the co-composer for the Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Hans Zimmer.
Oh.
Interesting. Mad Max Fury Road. He did the score for that.
I heard good things about that. So.
Yep. Point Break. Batman vs Superman with Hans Zimmer.
Oh
dear. Tomb Raider 2018. Sonic the Hedgehog.
That's coming out next year.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
He did the video game score for Need for Speed Underground, like the original one, 2003. For Forza Motorsport, for The Sims 2 Nightlife. What the hell? SSX Blur, Need for Speed Pro Street, Madden 16, and FIFA 18. Wow.
Very weird.
Yeah, so it was very electronic, wasn't it? The score from memory. I don't remember a lot of it. I think I think
what the more memorable piece of music were the pop songs, and like modern songs. I think, and they're like very ingrained in your head when they actually happen.
Yeah.
So like the X going to give it to you part of the end of the film, near the end of it, and also Wham as well was like very ingrained in your head.
Yeah, I think I appreciate that the fact that the score was used to amplify the film's momentum rather than stand out. I think it worked in that regard. I just don't remember any standout tracks, unfortunately. I may have to listen to the score and talk about it next week, or whenever we do Apocalypse. But yeah, I think from memory, I remember it being good.
Yeah,
Everything with the production, everything in the production, from the script to the direction to the music, it was all very sound. It all worked together nicely. There was nothing that felt out of place, which is good, which is very good. Appreciate that. Oh, good work, Tom Hulkenborg. But yeah, do you have anything else to say about the writing, direction, and music before we go to the trivia?
No, I think it all just flows really well. And while the music and the direction are in the forefront of the film, I don't think they should be. I think it's more to do with the characters and the comedy and the interactions between them, which brings it out. And I think that's what it does brilliantly well. So the dialogue is the most important thing, I would say.
Mm. Okay. Right. Now, let's go to the trivia. Where is it? There it is. Let's see how many trivias this one has. 277. Interesting. Well, I assume because it's got so many references, I would explain why there's a lot of trivia. But we do have some time here, so that's good, so we can read some of this out. Unlike last week where I had to rush out through it because we were talking for ages.
Yeah.
During a talk at Google, Ryan Reynolds revealed that the taxi driver character Deepinder was named after a really cool guy he knew in elementary school, who died when he was hit by lightning. It was meant to be a tribute to him.
That's cool.
Yeah. Ryan Reynolds has said that Deadpool will be the last comic book character he will ever portray. However, he doesn't object to future Deadpool sequels or cameos. That's a good choice. Because you don't want a fucking Green Lantern again, do you?
No.
The fact that he went from Green Lantern to Deadpool, like, what a turnaround.
You went from Deadpool to Green Lantern to Deadpool again.
Yeah, well, Weapon 11 he was called in Origins.
Yeah.
Piece of garbage. God, it's so night and day. Weapon 11 is the most generic shit villain ever.
Yeah.
It was like this film, it's just, oh, he's great. Bullet Whip, but Origins never happened because the continuity was changed, so Weapon 11 didn't exist, and Professor X never stood up when he was bald. No, didn't happen. Reese said that Negasonic Teenage Warhead wasn't intended to be in the film. Other X-Men such as Cannonball were considered, but they eventually used Negasonic Teenage Warhead because they liked her name better.
And they make the joke out of it in the film.
Oh, that's such a, this film reason to do it, you know? On April Fool's Day 2015, Ryan Reynolds posted on Twitter that the film would be rated PG-13, which prompted fan backlash as the Deadpool character often swears and commits acts of graphic violence. Later that day, Reynolds confirmed that it was a prank and the film will be R-rated. Well, the irony to that is there's actually been a PG Deadpool that's come out, which just backs what the fuck? What would be the point? Seriously. Yeah. I can only imagine it's shit. While filming, Ryan Reynolds visited 6 kids via Make-A-Wish Foundation as Deadpool. That's nice and all, and it's a very, very nice thing to do, but those kids are now going to watch Deadpool. Yeah. So, but you know what though? If they're sick kids, they can do whatever the fuck they want. Honestly, who cares at this point? That's cool. The fact that he visits them as the character. That's something that I have a lot of respect for. The fact that you're willing to extend your work schedule as an actor for the benefit of someone who's in pain is actually a very honorable thing to do. I think it really shows as well that Ryan Reynolds really breaks the stereotype that you may expect him to have. Because the way he was portrayed in Hollywood up to that point was this sort of oh, he's the most handsome man, and he's this sort of star that appears in films based on his looks and blah, blah, blah. But he's actually a very nice guy. Like, there's this poster by this bus stop that I go to every day from work that has him for like this, I don't know, like perfume company or something. And the way he's portrayed in the poster makes him look like a massive asshole. But he really isn't. He really isn't. Ryan Reynolds was allowed to keep his Deadpool costume after filming it completed. Technically, he didn't ask to, nor did he give anyone the chance to take it from him. When Fox found out about this, they honestly didn't care and just let him keep it. The Deadpool costume originally had a muscle layer underneath, but it had to be removed. Ryan Reynolds was so muscular, the costume would not only be too tight for him, but it made him look over large. That's right. He's been following Hugh Jackman's chicken breast diet.
Right, yeah.
Though he's not quite as big as Hugh Jackman was in the Wolverine.
Oh no.
Not quite that big. Or Thor in like Age of Ultron, I think, was fucking massive. Jesus. And obviously Endgame. He's massive in that too, but for different reasons. Ryan Reynolds has said that there are over 100 references throughout the entire film, including Easter eggs, pop culture references, cameos, and direct hits at other Marvel films. Sounds about right. When Fox refused to pay the writers of the film for on-set input, Ryan Reynolds paid out of his own pocket for them to be on set to look over the film. Reese stated, "We were on set every day. Interesting. Ryan wanted us there. We were on the project for 6 years. It was really a core creative team of us, Ryan, and the director Tim Miller. Fox, interestingly, wouldn't pay us to be on set. Ryan Reynolds paid out of his own money and out of his own pocket." Fucking, the more I learn about this guy, the more I love him. That's great.
Pretty much, yeah.
The film had a lower budget than any of the X-Men, Iron Man, Avengers, or Captain America films. Yeah. Fucking hell. This had a lower budget than Origins.
And yeah, like it just, like I said, not enough money to buy more characters or to have more props.
Or CGI as well. Like, CGI was much better in this than it was in bloody Origins. The film was shot in 48 days.
Just over a month.
That's insane. The first R-rated movie to have a 3-day opening weekend of over 100 million at the box office, whilst films such as Matrix Reloaded and The Passion of the Christ had earned well over 100 million. By the end of their first full weekend of release, those movies had opened wide on the Wednesdays before the official opening weekend. Deadpool only had some 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. screenings before its Friday-wide release. Well done. Through the Make-A-Wish Foundation, 13-year-old Conor McGrath, a terminally ill fan from Edmonton, requested to attend the special event for Deadpool in January of 2016, which turned out to be one of the 2 special screenings in New York and LA for the fans. He couldn't make it due to the severity of his illness. Ryan Reynolds heard this story, traveled to Edmonton, and surprised him with a private special screening of the film. Reynolds said the boy was the first person to ever see the film. They kept in touch until Connor's passing a few months later. Reynolds paid tribute to him on his social media pages. That reminds me of there was some guy who was a massive Star Wars fan, but was like gonna die before Force Awakens came out, so like they let him watch the film. And in hindsight, that is a little bit haunting because that film ends on a fucking cliffhanger. So like that must have sucked. Like the fact that you don't know. I suppose maybe they would have told him what happens after, but
yeah,
that would like when I saw the ending of that film, I'm like, oh Jesus Christ! Like all he wanted to do was see this film, and he got left on a cliffhanger. That kind of sucks. But but you know, it was a kind gesture anyway. But yeah, once again, Ryan Reynolds, the man. Um, Wade Wilson requests don't make the supersuit green or animated. This is a reference to Ryan Reynolds' previous role as Green Lantern, in which he stated the green suit was a special effect rather than an actual costume for Reynolds to put on. Deadpool pokes even more fun at the costume in a deleted scene of the Blu-ray copy of the film. Yep, because Green Lantern is shit. Um, oh, hang on. Ryan Reynolds was involved in revising the script with the writers. Cast members were allowed to improvise in some scenes. That makes sense. Um, in the comic books, Vanessa is a shape-shifting mutant that goes by the alias of Copycat. She homages her comic book version when she mentions that she has played a lot of roles. Interesting. Ryan Reynolds describes Deadpool's breaking the fourth wall ability as a reflection of current times. I think Deadpool's coming along at the right time because it's speaking to that generation that has seen all these comic book films and enjoyed them all. It's speaking to not all of them, There's some of them that are terrible. It's speaking to them as though the guy in that red suit is one of them. It's like watching a DVD commentary by someone who's got some pop culture savvy and it's kind of funny and a little obnoxious and saying things that you wouldn't say. Oh, no, I would argue the opposite. It's things that we would say, but we aren't as witty to say it straight away. We have to think about it. Whereas Deadpool says it straight away because he's great. But saying things that you wouldn't say in public, yes. Like, I'm going to wank myself off with his baby hand. Say that to an old blind woman. Jesus. And your landlord as well. That's Deadpool. When Gina Carano did the junkyard fight scene, she was more worried about spiders than anything else, even her stunts. There was going to be a running gag involving Wade and the other bar patrons betting money on how Amy Winehouse would die. This was cut because Winehouse actually did die sometime after the script was written, making the joke both irrelevant and possibly insensitive. Yeah. Glad they cut that. After being captured by Colossus on the bridge, Deadpool is told that he was being taken to the Professor. In reference to the leader of X-Men, Charles Professor X Xavier, Deadpool responds, "Which one, McAvoy or Stewart?" That's fucking great. Like, do you reckon there's people out there that hate this film because it's like, no, it's breaking the fourth wall. You can't do that.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. It's breaking basic filmmaking.
Oh dear. Yeah. It's like all the people that thought that Star Wars was going to be shit.
It did become shit eventually, but when it first started, it wasn't.
Yeah, well.
But that's not to do with the genre, it's to do with the writers.
Yeah. I'll be interested to know if, like, they actually had to pay People magazine to feature their magazine in the films. Oh yeah, I just remembered the comedy with, like, the sex scenes is so funny in this film with all the different, like, national like fucking International Women's Day and she puts a strap on and he's like, oh no.
Well, Wade Wilson is pansexual, I do believe. So
well,
I think so. I might be wrong on that, but I heard that he was at least something of that nature.
Well, guess Stanley's not biphobic after all.
Mm. Well, I don't know if he wrote Deadpool. I don't know who the creator of Deadpool was.
Um. Oh, you're right. Now it's Fabian Nikiza and Rob Liefeld, but
Yeah.
he approved it. That's
Hmm.
for sure. He approved it. Um.
And
And
he
there
was
was
in Deadpool, so yeah, he was in
as,
this film
as a
as a
pimp.
pimp for a strip club. So, oh yeah, but Stanley hates women.
Fuck off. Comic book Captain Marvel.
Hmm.
Was he created? Was she created?
And he was in that film too. So, unfortunately, because he deserves to be in better films.
It's just not fair.
Uh,
Oh yeah, let's just insult this dead man because he said that Spider-Man's not bisexual. Fuck you.
Even though that's not his character. It's not about his sexuality, it's about his character
It's
and
about
his
the fact that he
morals.
shoots webs from his arm and he has to deal with responsibility, not his fucking sexuality, you
Like
idiot.
God, like there are goddamn bisexual superheroes. So, what do you want Iron Man to be bisexual at some point? Do you want Captain America to be bisexual? Why is it different from Spider Man? So like, that's the argument I would probably say. So you want Captain America to be bisexual, and you want Iron Man to be bisexual too?
You want me
So,
Thanos to be bisexual?
want Peter Quill, you want Drax to be bisexual, even though Drax probably wouldn't understand the term.
He's just like, what is that?
You're saying goodbye to sexuality?
Oh, did you just make that up right now?
Yeah, I just made that up. That's off my head.
Fucking hell, that's straight out of James Gunn right there.
Mm.
You should write Guardians 3.
I'm gonna tweet James Gunn.
You're saying goodbye to sexuality? That's so fucked up, man.
That's ridiculous. When a man and a woman love each other very much, their sexual chemistry brings new life. It's like Drax, stop.
Just like you, Peter. When you're going down on Gamora, it's like you gotta realize you're a man.
Oh wait, your Gamora was dead.
Well, maybe it's okay to say goodbye to sexuality if it's necrophilia. Okay, shut up, Drax. Fucking idiot.
Oh god.
I'm just looking out for you, man.
I'm just taking your best interests at heart.
Oh, by the way, Mantis, I would never, ever in my fucking life have sex with you because you're ugly.
But you're pure of heart. And you're beautiful in the inside.
Yes.
I just don't want to be inside you. So.
Oh dear.
uh, I think I'm James Gunn at this point.
Yeah. Well. Oh dear. Fuck. I need to. Honestly, out of all the MCU films, the one that I think I need to rewatch is Guardians 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was so bloody pissed off that I didn't enjoy it. I was like, no, I'm supposed to like this one. What the fuck?
Yeah.
You bastards. Why do you have to make this painful? Fucking it's all Skype's fault, honestly, for deleting Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Anyway. In X-Men Origins Wolverine, just down 10 notches here. Deadpool doesn't wear his trademark red costume, but appears as a disfigured, shirtless, bald man with his mouth sewn shut. He also possesses 2 retractable katanas embedded in his forearms. As reference to this prior film, there's a scene that briefly features this version of Deadpool as an action figure. I noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that.
Yeah. That's probably an actual action figure as well.
Yeah.
Like they probably sold it, and they were just like, "Hey, let's get one of those and use it because that film was trash."
Well, they probably got like millions in stock because no one
Yeah,
wants to
probably.
fucking buy Weapon 11. Like, why the hell would you want to buy that
Yeah.
shit? It's terrible. Ryan Reynolds has confirmed that this is his favorite film he's ever appeared in. It's no fucking surprise.
Yeah, no, it's a great film.
Despite the R rating, Ryan Reynolds had entertained children sick with cancer while shooting this film and putting some of them in small roles in the film.
That's cool.
Oh, what a great guy. Negasonic Teenage Warhead was named after a song by the rock band Monster Magnet. Ah, okay. Earlier in the film, Deadpool had an altercation with a pizza delivery guy. The pizza boxes he is delivering are marked Feige's favorites.
I never noticed that.
Oh dear.
God, now I want to get pizza.
Just a second. Can you entertain the audience for just 2 seconds?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I never actually noticed that. I've never actually looked at the pizza box before. I guess I never really noticed. But that opening scene is actually really great. It's great for like introducing Deadpool such way as a character. Like, I love the subversion of he's actually here to interrogate / intimidate the pizza boy, which is great. And it's great, like the whole like I'm not a hero, and he knows that from the start because he doesn't want to be a hero. It's not about that life. Yeah, this film's just so good. It's such a great film. I'm looking forward to getting back to Deadpool 2 because God, now I can't remember if I preferred this film or Deadpool 2.
Well, I guess we'll find out when we
Yep.
review it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've just got to not yell because I just woke my mum up and it's 2 a.m. And we've got to wake up in 4 hours. Fucking hell. It's going to be terrible sleep. Going to be broken in half and then going to sleep on the plane. God. But anyway. Now. Oh, my bloody cat's here now. Anyway. Let's see. Oh, Ryan Reynolds hired a swords master to train him, apparently, for this film.
Yeah, to make it all look convincing would be probably the best thing to do.
Yeah. This is Ryan Reynolds' 5th time in a comic book film. He previously appeared in Blade Trinity, X-Men Origins Wolverine, Green Lantern, and Ripped.
I know. Oh yeah, that really bad film with Jeff Bridges.
What about Blade Trinity? Is that bad as well?
I don't know. I've never seen it and never
Okay.
looked up it.
Well, based on what I know, those don't look very good because you got Origins, you got Green Lantern, and you got Ripped. So
Yeah, so at least 3 of those are worse than this film by a long shot.
Now apparently the record of the first R-rated film over 100 million record, it broke the record from The Matrix Reloaded from 2003, so it was a 12-year-old record that it beat. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Ryan Reynolds is the first actor to be nominated for a Golden Globe for playing a Marvel character.
That's pretty good.
Yes. But fingers crossed though, because I reckon Robert Downey Jr. should be nominated for Iron Man and Endgame, like surely.
Or Phoenix of Joker from what we've been seeing on Twitter.
Well, I haven't seen the film, so I don't know. But
Oh no, yeah. Well, no, yeah. I'm saying like everyone's saying it's like, oh, it looks pretty good. At least he would probably be good in it. So, but yeah, he's like, that's really good that he got a Golden Globe for it. As he should, because he's great in this film.
mm. um, but yeah. Um. The Starbucks cup scene at the beginning of the film had Rob L written on it, a nod to Rob Liefeld. I don't know who that is.
No, I don't know either.
Let's see. Just open the page. It's not like the Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones, which was an accident. Lol. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's another illness person, not like a celebrity.
Yeah.
After the film's success, Chris Pratt, Chris Evans, and Robert Downey Jr. had congratulated Ryan Reynolds over Twitter. Evans and Downey in particular even went as far as to jokingly fight over Reynolds' team and affiliation for their film Civil War. Imagine that. Deadpool was in Civil War.
I don't know which side he'd be on.
What if they had Deadpool and Wolverine?
Sure. Wolverine would probably be on Cap's side, I would probably think.
Yeah, and Deadpool on Iron Man.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But he would know, probably, like, oh, I could be on either side and I know what's going on because fourth wall breaks.
Oh dear. Daniel Cudmore, who portrayed Colossus in X2 and Days of Future Past, turned down reprising the role for this film. He's replaced with Andre Tricotis. It's because Cudmore was unhappy with the idea of only doing motion capture work while another actor dubbed over his lines. Or he just missed out on being in Deadpool.
Yeah, exactly. And Deadpool 2, since Colossus in Deadpool 2. So like, he missed out on two arguably really good films. So,
yep.
So you'd rather be in X-Men 2 and 3, but you would want to not be in a good X-Men film?
Remember how Natalie Portman's like, yeah, I'm not going to be in Ragnarok because I don't like these Thor films.
Yeah, but I'll be back for Love and Thunder.
Oh, fuck.
Because I'll get to hold the hammer now, even though the hammer's destroyed and is sent back to the past. So how are they going to rebuild it?
Well.
We'll retcon it so she's all powerful.
Captain Marvel, grab it. I don't know. Doctor Strange, Guardians, who knows? Oh dear. Phase 4's looking dangerous. Yep. Just fingers crossed the Russos come back at some point.
Yeah.
This is the first X-Men film where neither Wolverine nor Professor X appear in the flesh.
But we do get a photo of
Wolverine.
Oh god, yeah. I can't remember Hugh Jackman. I forgot his name for a minute.
Yeah,
but yeah, see a photo of him. Patrick Stewart, as mentioned.
Counting the opening credits, there are 23 fourth wall breaks in the film.
That's great.
According to Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool is definitely pansexual. There you go, then.
There you go. Yeah, I was right. See, you can have pansexual, bisexual representation, but it not be the fucking forefront of the film.
Yeah,
just them being
except for one scene. One
Yeah,
scene where
and
he
that's used
gets
for that's used for comedy, and it's
it's
funny.
hilarious, and of course it makes
Yeah.
sense because he's dating a stripper, and they tend to be a bit kinkier,
Hmm.
so it makes
They're
sense.
open to more stuff, and he's like, since he's obviously pansexual, so yeah. So like, yeah. See, that's good representation when it's not in blatantly in your face and shoved down your throat. It's just like, hey, this person is this, but they're still just as cool.
God, bloody Bill Potts.
See, is that hard? No, it's not.
The only big problem I have with Bill Potts is that like I love her character, but Jesus Christ, they went over the top with that stuff. Like every bloody episode, it was the exact same thing.
I would need another rewatch of it and see how much is brought up.
It's in
Because
every
I know,
episode.
mm, I would
Well,
have to really.
maybe the Monk trilogy, maybe not because it's different like parts. But in all the standalone episodes, it's in every single one, and there's no variation. It's the exact same thing over and over and over. It's a male character that says to her, "Hey, I'm interested in you," and she says, "Ah, sorry, no, I'm gay." And it doesn't. It's not. It doesn't work. It's just, God, it drove me insane. I was like, this is just like it's meant to be. I don't know if it's meant to be funny.
Mm,
Like if I'm missing something, like it was the same bloody thing every episode, and I was just like, why? Like the first few times I have it, I'm like, oh yeah, sure, it makes sense. But like then it just kept on happening. I'm like, this is a bit ridiculous. And like by the time you get like to like Empress of Mars and Years of Light, like I was just fucking sick of it. I was like, Jesus Christ. Like learn to have
mm,
control. Like there's so much more to Bill than just his sexuality.
mm.
God. But it's a minor flaw. It's a minor flaw. It's only something that hampers very small details of Series 10. Unlike, you know, Series 11, which has major problems that affect the entire thing. Like how every fucking time they have to say dialogue, they all have to stand in a line. Or like how the Doctor has absolutely no subtext. Fucking pricks. Anyway, I'm just going off on Series 11, aren't I? Because that's what I do. Jesus, I'm. It's been a long time since I've done a review till 2 a.m. Oh dear. Ryan Reynolds appeared as Deadpool in a video by the YouTube channel Screen Junkies called Honest Trailers Deadpool.
Mm. Oh
That
yeah, I
is
think
fit.
I've seen that. I've seen that video. Yeah.
Upon further inspection of the Deadpool list in Weasel's bar, with the exception of Weasel's choices of Wade Wilson and Wade Wilson's J. Booth, the rest of the names are famous celebrities listing in APA format, starting with the left column top to bottom. Bill Cosby, Charlie Sheen, Kanye West, Vladimir Putin, Ryan Reynolds, TJ Miller, Lindsay Lohan, Miley Cyrus, Kid Rock, Mike Tyson, Judd Nelson, Lil Wayne, Shia LaBeouf, Ned Beatty, Rob Liefeld, Ozzy Osbourne, Amanda Bynes, and Arnold Palmer. Wow, that's a lot of references.
Mm.
Um, wow, I don't know why they referenced Arnold Palmer, because that's a golfer. But I'm sure there's a reason for it. Hang on, when did he pass away? He may have passed away that year. He passed away in 2016, so maybe. Oh no, but he passed away in September 2016, so
Yeah,
the film came out.
it's in February. It came out.
Right. Um, I saw him hit a hole in one at 90 years old on the TV. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
That's some talent right there. Um, Stanley jokingly said that his biggest complaint about his cameo is that he didn't get to spend enough time with the attractive actresses playing the strippers.
But Stanley hates women.
Yeah, so Stanley's
Yeah.
biphobic because he loves women, because he loves
Mm-hmm.
like attractive women. Oh, sure, because he's exerting toxic masculinity.
Mm.
Even though like the whole point of Deadpool is like to say what you're thinking.
Mm.
It's a very honest film. So just fucking just stop that. No more of this fucking shit about Stan Lee being biphobic. It's just ridiculous. Get your head on straight, you fucking losers. Uh, While filming his fight in the car with the thugs, his head is smashed into a radio a few times, changing the channel. During this action, for a split second, one of the channels it skips displays the old scene transition logo from the Adam West era Batman show. Small nod to the early days of the superhero boom. Even though it's DC. Um, but maybe that's like compensation for the fact that he shit all over Green Lantern. Like he had to have one positive reference as well. In June 2010, Robert Rodriguez was approached to direct this film, but he turned it down to do Spy Kids 4D. Oh dear. Isn't that the one where you like rub the thing and you can smell it?
Maybe.
I heard that. That's what makes it 4D is you can sniff it. You can sniff the film.
Mm.
Great. Fucking why? Um, Ed Skrein apparently did about 80% of his own stunts. So that's cool. According to Tim Miller, the tone shifted several times in development, with the studio looking for a PG rating at one point. Well, I'm glad he pushed for R18 because it fucking worked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for Deadpool's scarred appearance, director Tim Miller wanted him to appear as fucking horrible to justify his anger in the film, while makeup designer Bill Corso had some leeway because in the comics he's everything from a rotten corpse to a guy with a couple of lines on his face. Corso acknowledged the script's description of the character as disfigured, but also wanted him to be still kind of charming and iconic. He wanted to avoid comparisons to Freddy Krueger and looked to Sin City for inspiration. The final makeup required 9 silicone prosthetics to cover Reynolds' head, which took several hours to apply. For the scene where the character is naked, it took 6 hours to apply the full body makeup to Reynolds. Corso described the makeup for the rest of the film's character as pretty simple. Tim wanted to keep it really grounded.
Mm. I think it does it really well too.
Yeah, it's very grotesque, but it's good.
Mm.
And it works much better than bloody Red Skull.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Red Skull should have looked like. But like red.
Mm.
Like more red. And like zombie-like, you know? Not a
Mm.
fucking prosthetic. Oh, but Adam saw the movie with his dad in the theaters in 2011, so it must be good. Great. I'm happy for you, man. Superman shit. Wonder if he'll get this far into this review to get that little nugget of trigger. I resent that.
Hmm.
Um, placed number 1 at US box office for 3 weeks of its first release, until being dethroned by Zootopia. Huh.
Mm.
Haven't seen Zootopia, so I don't know. Now here it is. Ed Skrein is the second Game of Thrones actor to appear in an X-Men film. The first was Peter Dinklage as Bolivar Trask, and the third was Sophie Turner. So, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, I suppose. Oh dear. Can't wait to get to that, right? Sophie Turner. Oh dear. Bloody hell. It's annoying the fact that like Game of Thrones is a show that's known for having great actors, but like
Yeah.
but like the ones that made it to the last episode, like most of them are like the worst ones in the show.
Mm.
Sophie Turner, Maisie Williams, Kit Harington, Amelia Clarke. Like they're like some of the worst actors in the whole show.
My queen.
My queen! She's my queen! And the fucking guy who plays Grey Worm as well.
Mm.
The only one that was great in the finale, I think, was Peter Dinklage. That's it.
Mm.
Whereas, like, you compare that to like season 1, and oh my god, so many great actors. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Sean Bean, Mark
Mm.
Addy, Charles Dance, Lena Headey, Nikolai Coster-Waldau, because obviously they didn't make it to the final episode, did they?
Yeah.
She didn't even fucking get used right in season 8. She was like, just pathetic. Go check out my Game of Thrones rant, 5 hours.
Mm.
I put time codes in it too, so you can skip around if you want. Anyone who wants to watch that. Um. um. Oh yeah, there was another DC reference in this. Is he referred to Blind Owl as Robin?
Oh yeah, Batman. Yeah, I remember.
Mm. Wade at one point talks about Liam Neeson. Neeson had a supporting role in the fifth Dirty Harry movie, The Deadpool.
Hmm.
Jeez, I didn't know Dirty Harry had that many films. Although that's the kind of thing with westerns, though, is you can just make infinite films and it, like, because it's a fucking western, like, you know, it's just how it is. Um, oh, oh, apparently Weta Digital worked on this film. They are based in New Zealand.
Mm.
I mean, they're known for Lord of the Rings,
Mm.
obviously, and I believe they worked on Avatar as well.
Oh.
And they did the zombie polar bears from Game of Thrones. Fucking trash. Hate that episode. Beyond the Wall. It's absolute garbage. Instead of having a story that actually makes sense, fucking Dan and David like, this entire time of the show, all we have wanted is a goddamn zombie polar bear, and we finally got it. Idiots. Oh yeah, let's just get the guy who wrote X-Men Origins Wolverine and some other guy that we've never heard of before.
Mm.
The only reason why it bloody worked is because they copied the book word for word and had great direction, great actors, fucking, and HBO million billion dollars to do it. Idiots. That's why season 8's shit. That's why Jake gave it a 0.5. I love like the emphasis in his voice when he said, "This is the worst ending to anything ever." And when he said that in my mind, I was like, "You haven't seen Hellbent, mate." Can't wait for that. Um, Ajax is a warrior in Greek mythology. He's also a spray and wipe detergent. Um, the word fuck is said 79 times.
That many times, Jesus.
79 times. It makes me think of Age of Ultron. They're like, what's your language?
Yeah.
Um, Sequence removed from the film saw Wilson and Vanessa travel to Mexico looking for a cure after he turned down the recruiter. It was removed for pacing reasons and was
Yeah.
replaced with a short scene of Wilson sitting beside his window that was originally filmed to show him thinking about his diagnosis, but in the new context implies him rethinking the recruiter's offer.
That was actually nicely done for like intentions of the scene and the way to rework it to make it work for something that's been cut. It's actually really nicely done.
Mm. Suit was very difficult for visual effects team to replicate with CGI because of the fabric, apparently. It was mesh that allowed dirt to get into gutters and cracks, so when the light hits it, it still takes that orangey hue, but as soon as it goes into the shadow, it drops to this more bluish of the dirt. Oh well, they worked it out, I suppose.
Mm.
Certainly better than Hulk 2003 CGI, isn't it?
Mm.
Oh dear. The dream about Liam Neeson that Wade had was in reference to the film Taken and its two sequels, which starred Neeson. Was the sixth highest grossing film of 2016.
Did very well.
Okay, let's see. We've done this before where I look up films in that year and try and guess what the top five were. So, Civil War, probably. You'd imagine. Civil
Yeah.
War. Um, La La Land. La La
Oh
Land.
yeah, that. Oh yeah, that came out that year.
Rogue One, A Star Wars Story.
Oh.
Maybe. Not sure. Probably not more than Deadpool. Doctor Strange came out that year. Maybe not more than Deadpool. You've also
Oh
got
mate,
fantastic.
I don't
You've
know.
also got Fantastic Beasts as well. I'm not sure about that. Maybe. Then you've also got Zootopia.
Probably did a little bit better.
Mm. Let's have a look at anything else that looks like. Oh, Moana. Moana was big.
Yeah.
You had The Nice Guys. I remember watching that. And then you had the fucking Ghostbusters. Blech. And you had Finding Dory. I'm sure that would have made a lot.
Mm.
Hunt for the Wilder People was that year. That's Taika Waititi's film he did before Thor Ragnarok.
Mm.
And then of course you had Suicide Squad. 10 Cloverfield Lane. I watched that film in the theaters that year as well. Batman v Superman. Jesus Christ. Sausage Party was that year as well. And you had Jason Bourne, The Secret Life of Pets, of course X-Men Apocalypse, which we'll get to, Star Trek Beyond, the BFG, The Magnificent Seven, and everything else is a bit like, don't really recognize it.
Mm.
So I suppose it makes sense. Um, mm, The writers did not want the film to be an origin story, but Ryan Reynolds disagreed. They decided on a mix of modern Deadpool and an origin story, using Deadpool's narration and fourth wall breaking to balance the darker origin story with the comical scenes. This is the 10th Marvel movie that has shown nudity in some manner. Apparently. The others being Howard the Duck, Hulk 2003. Hulk 2003, what was that?
If they count like a arse shot as a nudity scene.
Oh, I remember now. I remember now. It was when he transforms back into Banner and his like fucking ass cheeks are showing.
Yeah.
The Punisher, Blade Trinity, X-Men: The Last Stand. X-Men: The Last Stand.
Maybe.
Oh, Mystique. When she gets
yeah.
transformed.
Yeah.
The Incredible Hulk 2008.
Probably the same as like
Yeah.
Hulk, maybe
Honestly,
for some
don't
reason.
fucking remember. X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Probably Logan again, maybe, or something else.
The Wolverine.
Yeah, I think I remember.
Probably the bed scene, I think.
Yeah, I'd assume so.
Days of Future Past.
Oh yeah, because remember he walks out and out of the waterbed.
And apparently, well, this is a spoiler for me. Apparently, Logan has nudity as well. But that's to look forward to, I suppose.
Oh, I remember why, but you'll obviously find out.
All right. Reynolds also stole the plush unicorn from the masturbation scene. A few days after it was released on DVD and Blu-ray, the film dethroned The Revenant in DVD and Blu-ray sales. Coincidentally, both films are distributed by Fox and now rated R. The Blu-ray releases of both films are also frequently purchased together on Amazon.com. Interesting. The Revenant and Deadpool. That's odd. This film is a spin-off of a spin-off. The film is a spin-off of X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is a spin-off of X-Men. That's like 16 walls, man.
That's like a franchise within a franchise.
We spent more time on this fucking sequence than any other sequence in the film, Reynolds stating about the sex montage. They say it was due to time spent on choreography and tone. Well, why would he be complaining?
Apparently, doing sex is just like extremely awkward. But
Yeah,
I think with Reynolds, he probably find it hilarious.
Because you got a bunch of people watching you.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the film Love Actually?
No.
Oh, there's a storyline in that about two actors that are doing sex scenes. That's so fucking hilarious. Love Actually is the only rom-com I've seen that I could actually say is a great film. Because every other one I've seen is like, oh god. Like some of them are like decent, but Love Actually is written by the same guy who did Vincent and the Doctor and Mr. Bean, that being Richard Curtis. And what I like about it is it's like The Avengers, but like for like a rom-com. Because you've got a whole bunch. It's basically like 10 or 15 different romances in one film, but because of that, it cuts out all the shit parts and only has the good bits. And like as a whole film, as a package, it works really well because it all fits into the same tone,
Yeah.
and it's got some of
No,
the most famous British actors in it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It also had a blue beam going to the sky for some reason. Don't know why. Much like Avengers.
Yeah. Oh, and Rowan Atkinson's cameo in that film is fucking so good.
Oh.
So funny. Oh, never thought I would get a scene with Mr. Bean and Professor Snape, but it's just brilliant. Um, I watched that Christmas Day last year.
Mm.
So good. Um, apparently, Blind Al has a love-hate relationship with Deadpool. That sounds about right. I like how it's like not even really explained like why they're even together. Like
Mm.
and it just sort of happens. Olivia Munn turned down the role of Vanessa. Olivia Munn, I recognize that name from somewhere. Um, I recognize her. What's she been in? I'm about to find out. Just gotta load this Wikipedia. Magic Mike. The Lego,
I've heard about it, Mike.
the
I've heard of
Lego,
Lego movie.
the Lego Ninjago movie.
Oh, that one. Oh.
Um, Date Night. Oh, she's in Iron Man 2 as Chess Roberts. Don't remember who that character is anyway. Um, Ocean's 8 apparently.
Oh.
Oh, she's in The Predator. The Daily Show. I'm just looking at the TV. New Girl as Angie. Project One Runway as a guest judge. And America's Got Talent as a guest judge. I recognize that name, but like I don't know why. Oh well, I like the one we had a lot. Like Iron Man when he refuses Nick Fury to join the Avengers, Deadpool refuses to join the X-Men.
Mm.
Whereas like with Captain America, it's like, of course I'm going to join. Part of the team.
Yeah.
Got to do the right thing. Well, to be fair, he didn't really have anything else to do. Like, oh my god, there's so much bloody trivia. Jesus Christ. I mean, when we get to Star Wars, it's gonna be like 1,000 trivias. Ugh. Um. All right. That's enough trivia. I got to the bottom. Okay. Conclusion and rating over 10 for Deadpool. Go ahead.
Right. Deadpool is funny. It is entertaining. It's relatable. It's interesting. It's balls to the walls. It's full fourth breaking, and it's overall just a really fun, exciting film. I was worried a little bit going back into it, thinking, oh, maybe it's not as good as I remember when I first watched it, but no, it's great, and it actually has depth to it as well, which is like for a comedy film is very good. I think the Ryan Reynolds is perfect. His chemistry with everybody is perfect. The writing is great, and the plot, while simple, it's still a very fun plot, I would say, and a pretty good origin story as well. So I'm going to give Deadpool. I think I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. Because I think I was thinking about a 9, but there's not much I can criticize about it. It's just a really fun film, so I'm going to give it a 9.5.
All right. Deadpool is brilliant. It's so different to any other superhero film I've ever seen, with its comedy, with its relatability, with how it balances itself, how it doesn't... It self-acknowledges tropes but uses that to aid the story. The character of Deadpool is brilliant. Ryan Reynolds is brilliant. The actress who plays Vanessa is very attractive, but also is more than just that. She's not just a pretty face. She's also got a lot of character. I love the romance between them. The villain is menacing. The story is focused and funny and very well made. And as overall, Deadpool is an absolute smash hit. And I can't think of anything overly wrong with it, but I think the main thing is, because this film does follow a basic structure, it does slightly hold it back from being tip-top, like the more ambitious, successful films are, like Avengers Infinity War, for example.
Yeah, that's a big example, yeah.
So I've been stuck on between like 3 different ratings for it. I'm just going to try and... I sometimes have to do this. I have to like compare it to the films that I've given certain scores. So, do I think this film is better than Guardians of the Galaxy? Yes.
I would say it's better than the first one, for me.
Yes, because the villain's better. And I think I like the comedy more in Deadpool. So it's better than that. Do I think that Deadpool's better than Captain America the Winter Soldier? That's a hard question, because they're very different.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes, because this film has an element to it that Winter Soldier doesn't have. Winter Soldier is actually it's a film that if you're watching wanting entertainment, it only works really in the action sequences. There's not a lot of humor to it, whereas Deadpool has such a unique layer to it. And I think Winter Soldier objectively is a better film, but I think I'm going to put Deadpool slightly above it, which surprises me because I really like Winter Soldier. But I think I'll say it's better. Do I think this film is better than The Avengers? Oh, again, that's hard, but I think looking at it side by side, Avengers has some flaws, like Hawkeye, for example. There's a few scenes in it that aren't the best, like some of the bits in the middle, whilst The Avengers is still fucking great. Looking back at in retrospect, after seeing the entire MCU, I think there was still a lot of work that needed to be done with a lot of the characters. Like Thor, like Captain America, they all improved vastly with the series progression. So I think, yes, whereas Deadpool gets everything right. Like, I feel like I'm not going to look back on this and think that needed to be improved. Like, it hits the nail on the head of every character that's in the film. So do I think this is better than The Avengers? Yes, I do. Which, again, surprises me. Because I fucking love The Avengers. But I think it's only fair. Because really, like, there really wasn't anything wrong with this film. Do I think this film is better than Captain America Civil War or Into the Spider-Verse? I would say it's probably on par with those. I don't think I can put it past that point. That's
what I sort of have it right now.
Because
At least with Civil War.
because Into the Spider-Verse, in a lot of ways, is quite similar to this film in how it's aware, and it's also very well executed in all areas. Um,
I
and I
think it's
just,
a very deep story as well.
yeah,
It's a very
and
deep emotional story.
yeah, and whilst Civil War, yeah, the shutter speed shots, the Sharon Carter, and maybe Zemo's plan maybe slightly flawed. Um, I can't put this above Civil War. I just can't. Like, I just fucking Civil War is a brilliant film, and I don't think I can quite put Deadpool above that. But that being said, 9.5 out of 10, by far, absolutely no question, the best X-Men film I've ever seen.
So
It's
far.
it's so far. It's beautiful, and I love it. And I think that's all I gotta say. Just brilliant. Like, I can't even think of one major problem I have with this film.
No, I don't really have a
It's
problem with this film
probably
at all.
the final shot. The final shot.
You have a problem with like about 10 seconds of an hour and a half film.
Yeah. Yep. It's like the same thing with like when we were doing the Infinity War review. I was trying to think of like problems I have. I'm like, yeah, Hulk CGI doesn't look the best,
And that's about
and
20
and
seconds in total of screen time.
and Captain America maybe could have had more to do, but he's still great. What else is bad? Nothing. So there, yeah. Deadpool was really good, really good. I'm so glad I watched it.
So I think the only film now that could possibly beat it, I would say, is Logan. Because I think with Deadpool 2, I think that film in general, just for me, I think it's just slightly below Deadpool, but it's still a great film. Obviously, I have to rewatch it and see. So I think the only film for both of us that I think could be number one is Logan. So
what about Dark Phoenix?
no. I mean, it could challenge to be worst. So that's a number
Oh yeah,
one.
let's see if it's worse than Captain Marvel or Amazing Spider-Man 2
Oh yeah.
or Game of Thrones season 8. It's got Sophie Turner in it.
So yeah, we've got one more film I would say to be really excited for, to say, could this be the best X-Men film? If not, then it's Deadpool by, I would say, probably not a clear margin when we get to Logan, but right now I would say it's a big gap.
Maybe, Hank, you never know. I might not like Logan. You never know. It's quite possible. Hey, it's not unheard of. Like, I didn't like Ragnarok. I didn't really like Guardians 2. Those are very popular films. Like,
those are comedy films that, while I think Guardians 2 has a fucking great deep emotional plot for the characters, Ragnarok is a very 80% comedy film that has a couple of really good character moments for like
I've got a funny feeling that Logan's gonna be more like the Russo the films where it's like you just can't deny it. Like,
that's how I feel about it right now, and I'm really looking forward to watching it when we get to it, because we got one more film to go to get past, and then we're on Logan. So yeah.
And then if that doesn't surpass Deadpool, you're gonna have to wait till Star Wars. Because oh boy, do I love Star Wars! At least some of it.
Yeah.
When Star Wars is great, it's the best. When Star Wars is
just
it's the worst. Just like
X-Men. There's no just that was a pretty good Star Wars film. Not great, but that was pretty good.
Maybe Rogue One.
Maybe
the only one.
But it's a rewatch. That's gonna have to.
But everything else is either absolutely brilliant, absolutely terrible, or both at the same time.
Both at the same time.
Yeah, like Revenge of the Sith or Force Awakens. Like, they're both like... Huh?
Kill it, if you have to.
Oh, fucking... Anyway.
But let's mend the helmet anyway. Fucking JJ.
Oh, I'll just put 100 Star Destroyers.
Enlightening.
Ooh.
It makes no sense from a military perspective. Where were all these ships in Last Jedi? Oh, they didn't make it. They didn't make them yet. It's just like, I mean, why did? But how long has the First Order been around? Surely they would, if they were capable of doing it, they would have just done it. We don't know how fast it takes to make one of these
That
ships.
Last Jedi. If Anthony's on that Last Jedi review with us, it's gonna be like 7 hours. Seriously, I've got so much to fucking say about that film. Jesus. But anyway, let's forget about that because
For
it's
now.
almost 3. It's almost 3 a.m. and I've got a flight to catch at like 7:30. So
Yeah.
we'll see you next week for X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be watching that on the plane home.
Oh no. At least the plane ride will be something.
Anyway, we'll see you next time for X-Men Apocalypse, and hopefully it's not as bad as people say it is. Hopefully it is the worthy sequel to Days of Future Past that we hope it is.
Well, Days. Oh yeah, David Universe. Yeah. I don't have high hopes.
Is Wolverine in Apocalypse?
I don't think so. No.
Oh,
It'd be weird because they would have to do another time travel plot for no reason.
oh, oh.
No. But no, you
What?
get him. You get him in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it wouldn't have been in Apocalypse because he was probably doing Logan. So.
Good choice.
Yeah. Oh, very good choice.
Although maybe I'll love Apocalypse and hate Logan. Who knows?
If you do that, there will be hell. Anyway,
There's gonna be hell when I release a certain video about the MCU later this year, but we'll get to that.
yeah.
Yes, we will get to that. Anyway, we'll see you next time for Apocalypse. That was a weak one. Hang on.
That was the weakest one.
Yeah, I gotta get it.
It's late. It's late.
Nice powerful snap. Thanos snap. There we go. Got it. Okay.